17:45 here, and I'm going to be playing some War Thunder, just checking to make sure we are going live on the interwebs. Yes, it looks like it. Good. Good, 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 good. So, some War Thunder.
Any new stuff that's in the game, or is there any upcoming stuff that's in
Yes,
the game?
they're adding a version of the KV-1 to Sweden.
Is it like a Finnish one then, yeah, or what?
No, it's a Swedish one.
A Swedish KV-1, really?
Yeah, I think it just like an example of a Swedish one that that Sweden had, not like a class that had.
No, wait, is it really? No, it's a Finnish captured KV-1 gamer.
Oh, is it supposed to be Finnish? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're adding what was some other another American an M6 with a 90mm gun. Bunch of other higher tier stuff that I just don't really care that much. Pay much attention to, but yeah.
Yeah, the USSS or the USS Tennessee as well. There's a new boat, a French boat. What? French coastal fleet closed bait testing begins soon.
Yeah, they're doing some of that.
That might get me interested in naval.
Now, I think most of that'll be post World War II, but I'm not sure. Because France really didn't have a motor torpedo boat, at least that I know of.
No.
During World War II or early.
Yeah. But, well, maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
But maybe they're putting in some riverine stuff from like Vietnam, you know.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, or something. You know, they used to go around the Mekong.
By the way, another thing I acquired. A Kongsberg-produced M8 bayonet for the M1 carbine. One of the last bayonets Kongsberg produced.
Right.
So it's a US pattern. So it says US M4. US M4 it says on it, yeah. So yeah, that's been fun. What else? Oh, I picked up a book on Norwegian medals. Now I have that. I've been wanting for a while.
Right.
So that's good. There was a lot of really cool reenactors there. I only saw one pre-war Norwegian reenactor, and the rest were like U.S. reenactors, basically.
Okay.
So, but it was great fun. The Leo, that was fun as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to ride on one. Did you get inside of it or just on the outside?
We had the opportunity to sit in the loader's seat, but it was apparently not recommended. So I literally just sat on the turret, on top of the turret.
Right.
So, and I was like, I thought like, oh, I don't really need to hold on to anything because I got two people around me and I feel pretty, secure. We go through the first bump and I slide like half a meter forwards, and I'm like, okay, I'm holding on to the hatch because that thing is fast. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was great fun. It was worth the $35 to do it. So
yeah. Not sure I would have done it, but it does sound cool. I mean, it sounds fun.
At least I've done it,
It's meaning would I for sure have done it? No, but it does sound cool, and I might have. Now, if it was a World War II tank, oh yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that would have been cool. They had a lot of. They had two Stuarts on display. No, not Stuarts. They had I think they had a Stuart, and they also had two M24s on display.
Chappie, yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of German half tracks there. Apparently, that's quite possible.
Now, I bet you. When you say a lot, I don't know what that means, but
like five.
Well, okay, probably most were Czech.
What do you mean, like Czech? Like production?
Czechoslovakian, yes. Czechoslovakia, Skoda continued to make the a version of the German half track after the war.
Okay. Well, there were
And
apparently some rare, like apparently like the
and what they
only
did their version had a closed in top, but there has been a lot of people who bought them and have converted them to look like World War II
yeah.
half tracks.
Well, there was also a Schwimmwagen there, which was kind of cool.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
There was a driving Kugelwagen. What else? There was a. There's a lot. There were a lot of like not half tracks, but like German vehicles, right? Like
Right.
cars.
Right.
So there was like there was one. It was like apparently the only large off-road truck that they had apparently, like truck like off-road truck apparently that they had, which was really old. It was really
Okay.
nice. So I was a retard and didn't take pictures. So
Okay. Well, you were
that,
that. No, that isn't being retarded. That's actually being there in the moment. That's what we used to do. Let's see.
it was good. It was a great turnout. It was a pretty nice memorial there as well before the whole thing started. There was not many people that showed up for that, but I did, and it was nice.
Yeah.
The thing that was really like emotional for me at least was because Norwegians were executed there. And what's it called? As we were having a minute of silence, because it's still an active, it's like a military base. As we were having our minute of silence, we heard gunshots, which was really, for me, that was really spooky.
Okay.
Just the timing of it. I don't
Yeah.
think it was
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yeah. Just somebody at the rifle range or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of got me thinking. Like damn, that was honestly that was, if that was planned, maybe not from the organizers, but that was pretty
All right.
meaningful, and pretty deep. So for me at least. There was a lot of younger military people there because it would, there was also hosted like one of the helpers there were the home guard, so a lot of the younger home guard people were there. At the mess, there was like a
Right.
small little sales mess there, and um, yeah, they were just like rummaging through like the smaller, cheaper bins to buy stuff. Probably like actual piece of kit for them to use in service, probably. So. Still funny that I met the guy that I bought the rifle from though, because I talked to the guy before, because I've actually seen him both in the Kongsberg mess as well as the biggest one in Norway that I did 2 years ago.
Right.
And I told him that 2 years ago that I was going to buy my first Krag, and he said, "Oh yeah, I collect Krags myself." And when I told him today or yesterday that I finally got my first Krag, and I told him like, "Oh, it's not numbers matching; it's a Steyr one with a not matching handguard."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "What was your name again?" And I was like, and I told him that my name, and he's like, "Wait, I have your papers right here. That's me." So
Good morning, Jamuska. How you
up?
doing? I'll get.
Hello.
Yes, we're just hanging out here. Yeah, we're playing. I'm playing the Jag Panzer 38T or Hetzer. Yeah, that sounds cool. I've also been meeting some interesting people here. One guy I met at sort of a quickie sale at the rifle range here. I bought, and I haven't mentioned this to anybody yet. And hey, Dino, I bought what looks to be complete collection of Vietnam dummy enemy grenades and booby traps.
Oh, that's cool.
And what I say is complete collection. And some of these, to me, look like they were, or maybe all of them are, I don't know for sure, were captured from the Viet Cong and used by the U.S. Armed Forces as, because they've been, they're inert weapons. They're no longer, grenades no longer work and whatnot. But they look like they were used to, for teaching class. This, yes, and including one grenade that has been cut in half and they substituted something for the explosive.
Oh, just like yeah.
A yellow substance. I don't know what it is,
Mm,
but
mm.
it looks like, and the pouches that, because there's one thing that has what looks to be 2 grenades in a pouch, and I think the grenades and the pouch are original captures that they demilled back during the war and just used them, and so I got the complete collection of like 10 items, 10
Oh, that's
different.
cool.
Yeah, I think it's about like that. So that's, and then the different types of how they would turn grenades into tripwire, booby traps, and step on them mines and whatnot. So yeah. But yeah, because I talked to the guy beforehand and he had them there ready for me.
Mm. That's cool though.
But yeah, no,
I also picked up what's it called? A full complete Krag reloading press as well.
oh,
It's not like new produced, but it's like an original like 50s loading press, I believe. I can find the name
cool.
of it here. But this one, compared to the one I have two now, because of course I have. It's two different versions, but what's it called? It is, the cool thing about this one is I think it can deprime, it can pinch the neck so it's ready for a new round. It can also remove primer and add the shell or bullet. I mean, put the bullet in.
Yeah, normally you open the neck, put the bullet in, then pinch it.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's what.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
maybe if you know, you know, but
yeah.
normally
yeah,
you flare it out, you put the bullet in, and then
and then you flare it in again.
Yeah, push it in.
But for this one, it looks like it's when when I prime it, it also crimps the neck, but you can't put a bullet in there. There's no space for that. So I don't know. Maybe that's how they do it. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm just going from. I am not a reloading guy expert. I am going to buy a good set of Dylan reloading stuff here. They're down in Phoenix. I'm not that far from me, 2 hours from me. So
yeah.
And I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to go to their store. They have a store down there, and talk to them and figure out just what I need.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of this reloading press that I.
So I will not necessarily become an expert, but actually learn how they do it and how it's set up. Yeah.
Oh, here is the one I got. It is the Jensen. It's called the Jensen shell machine, or like
Right.
But it's apparently an improved version of the Jensen one, which had like only like a single thing it could do, and this one has two, and it's apparently the most normal one. But the problem is that it's missing a metal cylinder that is supposed to. Basically, it's the deprimer and the bullet seeder. It's like a little cylinder that you can flip upside down if you want to deprime or put a bullet in.
Yep. You gotta pop the primer out.
Yeah.
That's a good way to save money. It doesn't make shooting free by any means, but
no.
Well,
if I can save the brass, and I found there's pictures of this little piece for depriming as well as seeding of bullets. So.
If it's something that has been popular in Norway or Scandinavia, I would highly think you could probably pick up the piece without having to pick up the whole thing.
Yeah, I need to see if I can find these spare little pieces, because there's different bullet setters, or like the little cylinders that are for pressing down the bullets. So
yeah.
But these are from like, apparently, these are okay. I didn't know this. Apparently, it's from 1898, so it's period correct loading machine. Apparently, okay, that's cool. That's actually pretty cool.
But yeah, I'm just saying, because I know that you can pick up a lot of lineman stuff here, which is sort of the main old hand loading equipment. So you very well may be able to pick up a period period pieces to finish that off.
Yeah, it says
if it's something that was popular.
Yeah.
As opposed to
It
just
says
a few.
here apparently. It says here the inner station for the shell presses the neck and puts in a new primer.
Right.
And there's so apparently for this one it doesn't flare it. You actually press it in, and then you push the bullet in the I guess like it's a pressure fit that way instead of it kind of crimping around the bullet. It presses it into it, kind of creating a something like that, I guess.
Well, hello, Niagara.
Hey guys.
Hey. Hallo!
Guten Abend, mein Freund.
Yes. We'll get both of you in next mission. I am alone.
I need to check
at the
on my
moment.
sound real quick, boys. Go back.
I have like half an hour game, so 2 games should be possible
cool.
for me.
Yeah, cool.
Oh.
That'd be great. This one's almost over. We're playing.
Which BR?
4-3 right now.
Okay.
All right, boys. My sound is at temp, so I'm gonna go and do that. I'll be back in 30 minutes ish. So if I'm not back, I'm probably passed out. No, I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. All right.
I'm calling Toy when you're not back.
No, I have a timer on my watch for 10 minutes. So I go 10 minutes in, and then I do ice cold
It
shower.
will not help if you pass out, Eric.
Nah, it's fine. Kojit knows. So. Oh, I'll be back. I'll stay in the Discord though. I'll be back.
Bye. 4-3. Let's see.
Yeah, Panzer heads or planes. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the Dora. Some 30 mils would be fine. Alrighty.
All right. Okay. Well, there's Niagara.
Accept. Gemma, the elections in Germany, any news in the American news channels? No, it's insignificant, right?
Yeah.
No one cares about Germany.
No one cares. I didn't even know you were having an election, quite honestly.
Okay,
Dina?
yeah, it's just state elections. It's not the federal election, so.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I do follow some YouTubers that normally give me results, but I did not know, because I knew that there was elections, the EU elections recently, but I didn't know that there were more. Europe is going to hell.
Yes, actually, no, we are already there.
No, I don't. I don't think. I don't think. No, I don't think you're at hell yet. I think you're going there.
All right, you're right. We're currently in like limbo, and
Okay.
like Dante's. If you're going with like Dante's Inferno levels, we're like currently in like lower limbo, and then we're going to go like all the way down to transfer.
Because it's going to get worse.
Yes.
Because again, I am I'm on the right side of politics, right wing side of politics. I am not at least by my view, I'm not an extremist. I know a leftist thinks anybody left of Stalin is an extremist, but
don't you know they say Stalin was a fascist?
Right, exactly. It depends on your perspective, but I very much contend that it's when the center left, the center, and the center right do not address people's real concerns, that's when the extreme parties come out. And the extreme parties may be necessary so long as they don't become too extreme. They don't start world wars. They don't put millions of people in camps and other things. As long as you're not doing that, then maybe the extreme party is needed.
Yeah, the problem I see is, at least with the quote-unquote extreme party here in Germany, or parties in Germany, is that they're all just, how should I put this, they're like a tiny dog that barks very annoyingly and very loudly, but won't actually do anything. In other words, they seem, at least from what I see of them, to be just empty populism
Right.
with little to no actual ideas on how to actually govern or change things or whatever.
I saw a turret.
Yeah. I took out his driver, and he's dead.
Already.
Good
Panzer
spot.
4? What the fuck?
Italian, I think. Oh, straight front down the road. Oh, missed. Looks like a Chaffee.
Oh, okay, we have another one here.
He's dead, Chaffee.
You got him?
I got the M24.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, then again, I have a very weird political views. Well, not necessarily weird views, but weird ideas, I guess. Ultimately, I personally also completely or mostly reject the whole idea of political wings. I personally believe that just reducing someone's views to, oh, he's right wing, oh, he's left wing, is oversimplifies things to an absurd degree.
Yeah, I hear you, but and different wings have different meanings, especially between America and Europe. But if you look at it, politics has to be to a degree a coalition, and if everyone splits into what their ideologies would even sort of generally be, you'd have 20 or 30 different parties. So
Oh, fuck.
so then things would be really, really, screwed up. So
there's one just next to him.
So the idea, yeah, who 100% matches. I totally agree with that, but
Oh, fuck. Really? We have lost Bravo.
because we can even see Sweden now starting to realize that they have a problem.
Yeah, but Sweden has like a right-wing party for like 4 years or 5 years now, so they could have addressed it anyways. And if I don't have done anything in the last 5 years, and then I would asking why have they voted for like a right-wing party?
Because most right-wing parties, at least theoretical right-wing parties, people tend to vote for are pretty much just the left-wing parties with slightly different like social positions. There is pretty much almost no difference, like you see here in Germany. There is pretty much no discernible difference at this point between the CDU, the Christian Democrats, the SPD, the Social Democrats, and the Greens, who are the Greens.
Yeah.
There is almost like all the difference there is like different
degrees,
colored outfits for your Barbie figures.
But also degrees. The Greens are the most extreme, and whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, no, because until Europe gets serious about deporting people that are as groups that are causing major disruptions, but even serious about deporting individuals, because they're not even, you go commit a felony in Europe, you may go to prison or something, not say will, but may go to prison or something. But once that's done, there's no even real talk or thought of deporting these people.
It's more likely you'll go to prison if you call a transgender man a woman than if you than if you're an immigrant and rape a teenage girl.
Right. Hello, Eugenie. How you doing? Guess that's how you pronounce, or is it Eugenie? Vaseline. Yes. So yeah, no, it's here in America. The people that are supporting Trump are serious about wanting deportations. and Trump says, we'll see what he does if he gets in, but Trump says he's going to start the deportations with the criminals. That's where he's going to start at.
You think there's like a chance for Kamala?
Yeah, no, there's a chance for her, mainly because of Democratic shenanigans. You know, Robert Kennedy, you know, who dropped out of the race just recently. The Democrats are trying to keep him. Wow, there's a lot of targets. Are trying to keep him. He's trying to get off the ballot in certain states, and they're suing to keep him on. He's, you know, dropping out and because it'll help Trump.
Oh, fucking hell!
I mean, here in Germany, it's hilarious. Like whenever I open like the start page of like the search engine I use, it always gives some like different news, including like political news, and it's like Kamala Harris is soaring in support. She does a flawless speech.
Yeah.
Look how amazing she is. Trump rages against his lost cause.
It's Goebbels-esque, and I mean it, Goebbels-esque propaganda. It is, because she definitely has a popularity boost over Biden. But you got to realize it doesn't matter how popular she is in California. She's going to win that. And so if she goes up 20% more popular than Biden in California, that doesn't get her any more effective votes for presidency. It's in the swing states that it matters, and her popularity is not that big there. I understand it's Slavic, how you spell the name. And I tried to. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct, but it did look like a Slavic written version of Eugene or Eugen. But yeah, it's the election. You know, the American election is going to really determine what happens in the world coming up very soon here.
Oh, don't be such a sore loser, for fuck's sake. Ah, he's trying to kill me with the anti-air. It's over, man! It's over! You can't kill me! Fuck you! Fuck you!
The Niagara has the spirit of the game. Back game.
That was quick.
What do you think about immigration? Well, Europe and America are different.
Oh yeah, we have land borders.
Well, but I mean also culturally and whatnot. I think some immigration to America is a good thing. I think unfettered, uncontrolled immigration is a bad thing, a very bad thing. So, should there be immigrants to America? Absolutely. Now, right now, I don't want any new immigration until we deal with all of our illegal immigration. So, I would just stop it all until we get rid of all the illegals. And then once we did that, then we can go back to a planned, sensible levels of immigration. Referring to, well, European immigration. Well, okay, you know, I wonder about Ireland and the political party called Sinn Féin, which was very much the party that
Just a political arm of the ARR, so
yes, to the IRA,
yeah,
and yeah, and to them to then going, oh well, people from all over the world should be able to come here. What the hell did they fight a 40-year guerrilla warfare to get rid of the English? If they're willing to just let anybody random into their country, I thought they were trying to do an ethno state of Irish for the Ireland for the Irish. But no, if it's anybody for here or there, so I literally, unless you just simply say gamer, it was just the party got captured by a different, taken over and captured by a different group of people. Well, fine, but you just had the Troubles, as they're sort of called, but it's an massive insurgency warfare. If you go back, well, you can go back to the beginning of English occupation back in, what about 1300? But if you look in the 20th century, back to the Easter Rising during World War I, through to the end of 2000 or something, when they finally sort of the IRA and the provisional IRA and all those groups finally really stopped their violence. With the sort of kind of general belief, the reason they stopped their violence was that with Britain being in the EU, it wouldn't really matter that they'd all be in the EU together. But that's different. It's different than allowing a moderate number of various different Europeans to come in and be, into Ireland as, different business talents and whatnot that would come there naturally as you flow around the EU. That would be one thing. Letting in large numbers of people from outside of Europe, I just literally don't understand how you turn on that. And Ireland has.
Reminds me of an interview I once watched of a Muslim who used to be like a extremist like Islamist. And he said in there that when he was an extremist, he pretty much always voted for left-leaning or like left-wing progressive party, because to him and his people, his group, they were pretty much useful idiots, because they had no real principles. They would just do whatever, like social media, whatever tells them is the current good thing to do. It doesn't matter if last week they said something completely different. They will constantly do this. They will constantly protect them. They will never move against them, because that would then cause like their backers to abandon them to them. So they would never move against them, whereas they were genuinely afraid of a real like conservative or getting into power, because they knew those have principles that might not necessarily be the best principles, even from like a one perspective, but they do have some principles.
Right.
And so they would have lines that they would not cross, and that if someone else crossed them, they would then intervene. Ah, shit, I'm being shot at by a bloody plane.
I'm coming back as AA. See ya, Eugene.
Another thing is that people can change, and which is something I find quite interesting in a lot of very left-wing or like progressive ideas, is that there is this strange obsession with people being unable to change their minds or change their opinions.
Oh yeah.
Whereas people
yeah.
can obviously change. You can be a radical progressive and then change to a more
At
moderate
G34
conservative.
on point if someone is close by.
Well, they're in our spawn too. You guys were the ones that were doing good. Our team had just totally choked. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you that people, but yeah, people can change for sure.
I'm going to try to bomb one of the enemy tanks on A.
Well, or you can just bomb one of the enemy tanks on our spawn.
Alright, there were someone spawned. Well. I did manage to get one on A though.
Cool.
That's at least something.
Yeah, sure. I can't do shit about him.
I'm getting out of the plane and going back into a tank.
Hardly worth it, but yeah. Yeah, no, it's
never say never.
Yeah.
He's just right here, and he killed my gun. Okay, now he's dead. Okay. SU-152 is looking our spawn.
You know, it's and I'll talk about something how I've changed. Looking at the, actual real facts of international trade and whatnot, and it sort of ideologically was, free trade is best, competition makes you stronger, and we can look at like the American steel industry, which, grew up before and then sort of finished growing up during World War II. Europe's steel industry is, really, particularly Germany, is post World War II because we bombed, the steel industry out, so it was new manufacture, and it was like, oh hey, if we put on a lot of protectionist tariffs to protect American steel, well then that would just keep old, outdated production methods, going instead of innovating. Well, and I bought into that argument. That is sort of the classical American conservative argument. Well, since that time, I don't know, the 1960s or something. They can only subsidize, the foreign countries can only subsidize it for so long. Well, Germany has continued to subsidize its steel all this time. So there isn't free, fair trade between U.S. and Germany on steel because the German government subsidizes its steel production. So does China's. And so that, since that can go on, if not forever, it can go on long enough to kill, because it can go on for 100 years or something, to kill the other steel industries. So you have to protect you have to be rational about it in that if you do have a 40-year out of date steel manufacturing system, well, don't protect that, but give it an incentive to upgrade, to update, and then protect that. And that's the only way to do it. And I got to say, hello, Mitchell. How you doing?
Hey, Jan.
Hey.
And Jan is here too. Yes, hello, Jan. We do have a slot for you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play a little bit on my own and then join you guys.
Well, okay.
What BR are you at?
We're at
4-3.
4-3 right now.
Oh, 4-3. I'm also playing at 4-3.
Well, but you don't want to play with us. We understand.
Oh, is your log that bad?
No, I invited you to play with us, and you just said no. So
I will come later.
okay,
That's what I meant, gamer.
okay. But by then we'll probably be at 5-3 or something. 5-7.
Hopefully not. I like 4-3.
6-7. Suffering.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
thank you. I'd like to have at least a little bit of fun.
Yes, okay. We can have a little bit of fun here.
Yeah. Like 4-3 is, in my opinion, at least one of the best German BRs.
Oh, it's a very good BR. Yes,
Yeah.
it has a
Well, what is it?
T-34.
Yes, it has a T-34. It has some good. It has the Jagdpanzer. It has the
Yeah.
Tura Emil.
Yeah.
I'm playing the sewer email, so
Yeah. So that is something that has changed in my ideas, that protectionism is necessary. It just
it's more of a security risk than
well, and as you're saying, it's not just an economic thing for like jobs in America, but it's also a security thing in that the U.S. should not be, or any country should not, be too dependent upon other nations. Now, not every nation is going to have a significant steel industry. It's just not really practical because, I don't know that Bolivia needs its own steel industry. But when you're
steel
talking,
must grow.
yeah, but when you're talking about,
Steel
France,
controls the universe.
right? If you're talking about like France and Germany and Britain, they should probably all be making a fair amount of their own steel. So,
Yeah, lately, in Europe, there's also been some a lot less steel manufacturers.
right. And so we, like in the U.S., we don't have to subsidize the U.S. steel industry. It does not have to come out of the pockets of the taxpayers like it does in Germany. We just have to go, oh, well, we're going to, look around and go, oh, Germany's, let's just say, subsidizes their steel industry by 20%. Well, we'll just put a 20% import tax on German steel, and whatever percent on Chinese steel, and whatever percent on pick the other next nation. And that way, we can import German steel, we can import Chinese steel, but it would still be profitable to make steel in America as well. And I am not for. I'm not one that wants to make all the steel in America for America. I'm happy to import some, but I do want an American steel industry.
Diese beschissenen T34. Zack.
Aren't you having fun there?
Yes.
Can't you hear how much fun I have?
Yes.
We are Germans. This is our natural state of having fun.
Watch it, Dino. You're getting shot at. Right. Big Soviet.
You're having too much fun over there.
See.
9.
Nope, still protected. We're gonna get another shot into it before it kills me. He's still reloading and moving. Okay.
I mean, believe it or not.
Yes, it worked.
Enemy planes inbound.
Oh, great. And I just went into the open top vehicle.
And I just got bombed.
You should always start with the open top, because later in the game it's mostly useless.
Where is he? Oh, just there.
And being able to change. You know, one person said online that a lot of people stop developing at age 25, and I think he's
The
right.
brain is.
Yes, but not just stop. You know, yeah, but not just stop like physical development. But he was sort of mentioning like that with the brain, but stop having new ideas. Stop learning, developing. Not just learning a new fact here or there, but continue to mental development of thought, and that is actually something that is a small percentage of the population, like 20 or 30%, continue to develop throughout their lives. And I thought that was rather a.
I was just about to say that maybe that is somewhat wrong because well, it's more of a nurture versus a nature kind of thing.
There is a nurture versus nature argument. A good chunk of the 20th century really has 19th century, and we won't mention political parties or things that you'll probably guess that I'm talking about in a moment, but have 19th century selective breeding, selective idea breedings that then they applied to humans in the 20th century. When if we look at genetics, all that just bullshit. Actual genetics. We probably don't have. We have a better idea of genetics than we did 30, 40 years ago now, but we probably still don't have a very good idea. So I personally don't know how much is nature and how much is nurture, but and realize, guys, I am in, compared to you guys here, in a better situation to judge this, because I can, and I've been around a lot of people. I can pick out a Japanese versus a Japanese American just how they walk. Okay, so the way they walk,
they're jaywalking, aren't they?
No, not jaywalking. I mean, how just their gait, how they move. And Americans move differently than Europeans, significantly different than Europeans. So it's got to be cultural, okay? So if and I'm talking to somebody like that's genetically 100% Japanese or 100% Vietnamese, if they've been born and raised in America, they walk differently than they do in Vietnam or Japan and Chinese. And the Chinese, Vietnamese, and Japanese walk differently from each other. They really do. And so that is not a genetic trait. Sure, their height is, or their hair color is. I'm not, saying there isn't any play there. So seeing that makes me strongly a believer that the big differences, like in how you think, how you perceive, how you speak, is cultural. But maybe I'm wrong, and I'm sure genetics play a role, but is it the main role or a side role, if you will?
You fucking kidding me? You camping our spawn point here? Really?
Well, just think of it as you don't have to drive far to engage the enemy. I'm camping their spawn point right now. They don't have to go anywhere to get killed. They can get killed right in their spawn. Let's see. Jim Manuska says most brilliant in math and physics happen while people are under 30. Yeah, that can be. And just explain a little bit about me. I divide the world into math and not math. I am
I'm a mathematician.
and to me, math is anything that is formulaic, like spelling.
Fucking hell!
Like spelling. That to me is math. Where language is not math. So I am not good at math. I can do it, but I'm not good at it. Where I can do, so like memorizing names and dates and all that stuff for history. I'm not good at it. Yes, I know D-Day happens June 7th, 1944. And the only reason I know when Rome was conquered by... What was June 6th, because it was the day before D-Day. Not because I remember that it's June 6th. And so I'm more of a, this happened, then the next thing happened, and, sort of the flow of history, then being able to...
Guys, look at the fucking map! Oh.
And
I was
so...
already killed off the map. So
not camping, tactical waiting. Yeah, well, I'm sitting outside, well outside of their spawn. I'm just waiting for them to sort of like materialize there. And I am terrible at memorizing things, like songs. I can sing along to the music, but try to make me just like sing a song. Oh God, no. I'm terrible at.
See you later.
Okay, see ya. So yeah, I have my mental limitations, and so but I do think I'm smart. But like I say, I would love to be able to memorize classical phrases and whatnot, but I suck at it. And I can, but it takes a lot more effort than my other just mental capabilities. And I think that is genetic and not a cultural thing. So like I, so now you're saying math is something that, now does it just materialize, or do people notice it earlier? I don't know, but and of course, because of what happened in approximately the middle of the 20th century, make the study of genetics somewhat taboo, and even more so what's happening now, even more taboo. Since I don't study that, but I do study culture and the cultural differences. That's where I think I can speak intelligently on the subjects. And I know it is a significant importance still. Even however important genetics is, culture is still massively important. I'm dueling a T-34 with a T-34.
All right, to open up something that is completely different. I would be somewhat interested. What is your favorite, or like one of your favorite movie soundtracks?
Soundtracks. I guess because I know so few that I would say, and I'm not talking like putting popular, songs in a movie, like
yeah, that's not what I was. Not
yeah,
what I was
yeah,
meaning.
like
Music,
the Guardians of the
music for the
Galaxy,
story.
has a 1970s soundtrack or whatever. Not talking about something like that,
Yeah, no,
but something
I mean
designed
something like John Williams music for Star Wars, Howard Shore's music for The Lord of the Rings, those
right.
kinds of things.
Streets of Fire,
Interesting. I've never heard of
probably the
that
best
one.
soundtrack ever. But now it's a musical, but it's a musical that didn't break into weird songs, inappropriately as people just walk down the street or something. I don't like those terribly much. Sometimes they're still good movies, but it's not because people all of a sudden, start dancing and singing in the rain. You get the reference, but and I think the music, or at least some of the music, was done by, I think it's John Steinman. If you know him,
Jan Steiner.
Steinman.
Simon, I don't think I've heard of him. No.
He's worked with Meatloaf. Bat Out of Hell and that stuff.
You're still not done?
No, you just wait. We're nearly ended this. We've
Yeah,
about.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
quite surprised that you.
I mean, sure, of course, I've heard of John Williams and the Star Wars soundtracks and other things like that, but and they're good, but yeah.
I actually listened to this to the original that inspired it. Pretty fucking good.
The original that is, please.
Yeah,
define
the soundtrack. It was.
It's like the Planets Symphony.
Yeah,
by
the planets. Yeah, it's something planets, and then the Mars.
Mars, the Bringer of War, I think, is the main one that inspired the opening for all the original Star Wars.
Okay. Now that you've defined it, I can understand what you're meaning, but I don't know it.
I could send you it, but it's just the elements are really quite the same.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of similarities there.
There's been people that have complained about John Williams as just sort of a, not a plagiarist, but just sort of not original. And that may be true, but he's definitely put it together in a masterful way. So he may be, taking elements of other works.
Just like what Daft Punk is basically doing, or basically did, or any major musical artist, I would say.
I mean,
they take things from other music videos and just
I think that's a
do their own spin on them. So I'm not.
I mean, when it comes to Star Wars, John Williams music, I'd say that his best work, I'd say, is Revenge of the Sith. I'd say that's by far the best Star Wars soundtrack, and I'd even say the best John Williams soundtrack he ever made.
Fair enough.
But it's not actually my favorite film soundtrack, I think. It's up there, but it's not my favorite.
I really like the Duel of the Fates soundtrack.
Duel of the Fates is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still. But I'm unsure what my favorite actual general film soundtrack is, but I think if I had to guess right now, I'd say it would probably actually be Dragonheart.
Yeah, that new show?
No. I mean
the old movie, I think. Yeah.
The movie with Sean Connery as the dragon. By, I think, Randy Feldman.
I don't.
1996.
Yes.
Yeah, that I remember the movie. I don't remember the soundtrack. so I can't.
I really,
can't evaluate.
really like the soundtrack of Dragonheart.
The movie was good. It was one of the few relatively good fantasy stuff. For some reason, Hollywood just has not been able to do good fantasy. I mean, it was surprisingly how well the Lord of the Rings trilogy came out.
Yeah, it's like how like you have in terms of fantasy. Yeah, like you have only a handful of like really good fantasy movies. You have like the original. You have like the original Conan the Barbarian.
Right? Yep.
You have, if you want to call it the fantasy movie, The Princess Bride.
It does, but it is a comedic. It is good fantasy, but it is comedic.
Yeah, I personally would consider Princess Bride more of a fairy tale movie as opposed to a fantasy movie.
Yeah, well,
it's more towards like the fairy tale aspect.
Yeah, but yeah, in that you're sort of right, but it's just sort of right there on the edge. It's a wonderful movie. I think it's a wonderful movie.
I love the Princess Bride, and it's also another one which has a great soundtrack. Especially the main theme is amazing. So you have the original Conan the Barbarian, then you have Labyrinth, like the puppet film.
Yeah.
With so that's more urban fantasy in some aspects. Then you have that you pretty much already have like the Lord of the Rings, and that's pretty much it in terms of fantasy movies that are just really good. Then you have a bunch of decent-ish ones, like Legend.
The second Conan movie, you know.
The second Conan movie, yeah, I'd actually say Legend is about on par, if not possibly even slightly better.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not putting individual grading. I'm just saying second tier.
Yeah,
second tier.
That's about the second tier. Entertaining, not incredibly good, great yet in terms of quality, but entertaining.
Yeah.
Then you have ones that are more fringe, like one of my.
But you've missed like
gamer.
Yeah. I'm doing it right now. Beastmaster. You've got that. You've got Troll.
Yeah, I'd also put all of these in like second, third tier, like movies that are a lot of fun, but I wouldn't say are amazing.
Oh yeah, no, they're not amazing. No, they're second and third tier, but they're decent. Then you got like the original Red Sonja movie with Bridget Nielsen and.
All right, I actually think that movie is kind of shit. It's entertaining, but it is not good.
Yeah, well,
at least in my personal opinion.
Yeah, but they go down from there, and so I didn't see
like
this.
I like to call it the barbarian age. It's the age which
of the
'80s with Conan. Yeah,
yes.
It starts pretty much with
Conan. Well, remember, I lived through them. Okay, I went and saw all those in the theaters when they.
All of these like Robert E. Howard, big muscle bound men, lots of violence and nudity.
Yeah.
Great time.
There's about 5 or 6 good. I mean, not saying great movies, but good sort of fantasy in that. Then there's some really trash stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, you have like Deathstalker and like all the Roger Corman stuff.
Yeah. So yeah,
which
but
is still incredibly entertaining, but not good.
You know, I guess maybe it comes down to the whole idea that is and you know, we can talk about what went wrong with Peter Jackson's The Hobbit, but and I still think there's a good 2 or 3 hour movie that could be edited out of that.
Yeah, I put the Hobbit movies in second and third tier.
Yes, but meaning if you took all of the 3 together and just edited it down to the essentials, I think there's a good movie. Not a great movie, but a good movie there.
Yeah, you can tell that they were originally meant to be 2 movies.
Right, and they just forced
through studio interference.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was getting is probably the reason the Lord of the Rings was so good is that he was able to do it without having too much interference. And I think, recently saw a thing that talked about Conan the Barbarian, and what went wrong with the second one is that they thought by making it more for general audiences, it would have a bigger potential audience as opposed to being an R-rated movie. So they dumbed it down, and I
took
think
out pretty much all the like violence and nudity and gore, and just
right
put in a stupid comedy relief sidekick.
Yes,
and took out
What
all
a
of the like
surprise!
grandiosity.
It's almost like history repeats itself because modern audiences.
yeah, no,
They have that constantly.
But there has always, since the 70s, there's not been a modern audience situation. It's a kids audience problem. They weren't necessarily trying to, be unreal, try to, say men are women and women are men.
I know
but,
that,
but yeah,
that's why I said
and I think it's as much as that they, the people with the money don't really know or like the source material, so they interfere.
They
So
like
when
money.
well, yeah, but they don't know why the Conan books were so popular. They don't know
Exactly.
why, and so they force things to not be good. Is the problem?
Yeah, because they think they know best. Like they look like, this movie did very well, but it's super violent. So if we remove the violence, it'll still obviously make be super well. And now we can have even more people. Except now the people who originally watched the movie no longer want to watch it, and so, well, how did this happen? It must be the fault of the filmmakers.
Yeah, because there are a bunch of good science fiction and fantasy books that would make great movies that would make lots of money. I've just I read it many years ago, but I've been going through R.A. Salvatore's Drizzt Stewart and series, and especially his first three. Those could be several movies, and they would make so much money. They would just pour in the money, but they wouldn't be allowed. I mean, just with combination of, as Jan saying, modern audience need and other things. I don't know why, they just won't make the book.
No, they won't. I mean, we have seen what recent attempts at fantasy adaptations, and they have all gone horrifically wrong because of their need to just change everything. There's a quote from, of all people, George R.R. Martin, he fairly recently made, where he talks about this strange need that modern current authors, showrunners, and so on have, that they believe themselves to be superior to the original authors, and so change their work to suit themselves, their vision, and what they perceive the world needs. Pretty much always to the detriment of the original work.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely, right with what he's saying. I think it's even more simpler than that. Because some do have that. I just think they have the desire to make the mark on, cinema, and this is the vehicle that they're allowed to do to make it. Meaning they don't really want to make whatever the story is. They want to make their own thing, but no one will give them the money.
We have that quite often, that you have. It's one of the reasons why, despite it technically being a good movie, and I can even somewhat enjoy it as its own thing, the animated How to Train Your Dragon film.
Right. I think I saw the first one of that. I mean,
I also
on TV, not in the theaters or anything. But...
Yeah, I saw the first one. I can genuinely say it's a good movie. The others, from what I've heard, are also pretty good, but I don't like it for the simple purpose that it has nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, to do with the books. It's a literal thing of in name only.
It's more for kids.
No, actually,
I would say.
no, actually, the books are children's books. They are very much children's books, especially the first ones. It's just they get a bit darker further on and so on, and like later on they are pretty dark, but the characters are completely different. Some have similar names, but the biggest difference is, for example, the main character's dragon. In the film, it's like a stitch-looking black huge dragon that he flies around on, and in the books, it's a tiny little green dragon that literally doesn't have any teeth because he's a baby, he's tiny. And he also speaks because one of the main plot points of the books is that the main character knows how to speak with dragons. It's not just like how it's in the movies, interpreting their like movements, but he can genuinely talk with them as you can talk with people. And like his dragon is an asshole. He's like this little entitled brat who's constantly snarking.
That doesn't sound like the fucking film at all. What the fuck happened?
Again, they completely changed everything.
Right.
For example, in the film, originally the Vikings fight against the dragons. In the books, they are already friends with the dragons in the very beginning. And one of the main plots is the fact that everyone makes fun of the main character because his dragon is tiny without teeth.
Right.
The entire plot is different, and from like the third one onwards, you have like the Romans appear and are one of the main antagonists. The Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire is the main antagonist in
the third book.
And how to train your dragon.
Yes, you have like the Romans who are like they capture like some of the characters, and they're like super like extravagant and indulgent. Like they have like these tiny dragons that they pour like honey over and eat them alive, and they have like gladiatorial combat with like dragons. And you have one of the main villains appears like in over multiple books. He's like an evil Viking pirate guy. And in each book he appears, at the end it always seems that he dies, but he always returns with one less limb. Like in the first one, he ends up being eaten by some kind of eldritch weird dragon monster. And then he returns, but he only has one, but he has lost one of his hands, and he has lost all of his body hair because he's been in the stomach of the monster for so long.
Right.
He works with the Romans, and then at the end of that one he falls seemingly to his death into like shark dragon infested waters, and they think he's like gets torn to pieces, but then he returns later and he only has like lost his legs and an eye.
Damn.
Well, I don't know that that's a better story, but
and especially the one with the Romans ends on for a long time I didn't have the book following that, and it ends on especially for a small child, really terrifying cliffhanger, because very early on in that book it was established that there is a very small dragon which has like a scorpion's tail, and its sting is you don't notice it when it stings you, but its poison works slow and it is always lethal. And at the very end of the novel, it is stated that one of the main characters was stung by that dragon, but it doesn't tell you which one, and it doesn't resolve it at all.
Until the next book, or
yes, and I didn't have the next book. I only had that book when I originally.
Oh, Jesus.
So and I was like 10 years old when I read it, 12.
Right.
That was that was tough.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it, it's a shame that they don't make the books. I mean, I don't know that that's a better story than, because I've only seen like one How to Train Your Dragon.
I mean, from
think the
what
first
I've
one.
heard, there are quite a few people who generally think the movies are, in some aspects, better than the books.
Yeah,
mean,
and they very well
main
could
thing-
be, but yeah.
Personally, I'd say they're about equal. The main difference is pretty much that the books need quite a while to read to get going. They have many books that build on each
Right.
other, and then they get really good like later on, from like the third book onward. It gets like really interesting with really a lot of creative stuff.
Okay,
Whereas
now
the
see,
movie
yeah,
is
now you
more focused on being its own self-contained trilogy.
okay. Well, you see, here's what movie making is different than writing a book.
Exactly.
But you see, you can make the book, but make it a movie. Meaning just focus on, like don't necessarily have that big slow build up, because nobody wants to sit there for 2 hours for the big slow build up. But you can still gel it down into a movie,
Yeah,
but have it stay true to the story of the book, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that is my big problem with the movie. Is despite it being a good movie, it should have just had a different name, because it has
Yes.
barely anything to do with the movies. Hell, even the title, How to Train Your Dragon, barely has anything to do with the actual movies. Whereas the titles of the books, which only the first one is called How to Train Your Dragon, the others have all different names. The title makes perfect sense for the basic plot.
Right.
But
But
again, that's another, is that you can have a really good movie that has very little to do with the book, just with only some vague references.
yeah,
Mhm.
and
But
yeah, Jan.
uh, that's just probably why the Lord of the Rings trilogy did so well, because I
They made
read
the
in
book.
interviews. They first read the book, and then when they put it into film, they did change who says what lines semi frequently. I don't
They
remember.
changed some.
Yeah,
They also
they
also quite heavily changed a lot of the characters, how their personalities and so on. But
yeah, but
ultimately, all of these changes are comparatively minor.
yes, it's comparatively minor, because the words that Tolkien has put on paper are still in the film.
The spirit,
Right.
Yeah,
I'd
the
say
spirit of it.
it's less necessarily words. It's more the spirit of the work is carried across.
Right. And so
Sometimes better than at others, but
yeah,
ultimately it gets the spirit of the books across.
and so like I say, making a film or even a TV series, which is different than making a film, is a different art form. And so, if you have, let's say, a classic photograph, could be like the Iwo Jima raising the flag. A painting of that isn't 100% meant to be, the same as the photograph. But it's let's see. Oh, he killed me. Okay. So, but and it shouldn't be like, oh, you made a mistake here. But did you capture the idea, the settings, the whatever,
Essence.
the essence of that photograph, so that it's recognizable, but it's maybe highlighting certain aspects and playing down other aspects? And so it's a different medium, but it's telling the same, the same thing as the photograph. And that's the way books, I mean, books and movies are different. And if you truly, now sometimes, and I will grant this, if you look at Hollywood's history going back to the 30s, sometimes they just literally want to buy the title, because the title isn't, and the original work isn't necessarily that good because it's sometimes pulp fiction, and in that it's not a bestseller. It's just something that some author wrote. It sold some copies, but it has such a cool title that they want to buy the title and then make a movie that barely has anything to do with it. And that I sort of understand, maybe just because I'm a film buff, but it really isn't like taking Margaret Mitchell's bestseller Gone with the Wind just to use the title and then make something that's nothing about the South and the
Gone
American
with the Wind, the new movie about a killer hurricane twister thing.
Right, yeah, I mean, you could do that, but and then if you do that, okay, it just has a cool title and live with it. But sometimes they're buying the popularity of the the notoriety or the popularity of the name because it's so well known, like Gone with the Wind, versus
what happened to Acolyte. Because if you press Acolyte just on things, it doesn't really matter. But if you put Star Wars next to it,
exactly,
oh, that changes.
Right. And so they're using Star Wars to tell their lesbian witch story that would no one
even a good lesbian witch story.
Right. And you could make you could make a good lesbian witch story, but
there are good lesbian witch stories.
Yeah, well, it depends on what kind of stories we're talking about too, but still, you could make that. But they don't, and if you truly have a great story to tell, and if it doesn't completely, disregard, the setting, some people, oh well, who cares about what's the word I'm looking for?
Consistency.
No, the not lore, but what's the term?
Continuity?
No, not well. Yeah, that no, but the
story.
The lore?
No. We're all talking around it. The
IP.
Well, yeah, the IP, but what
The legacy.
Hello. What's the man? It's just one word, and if I come up with it, and I'm stop playing to try to think. Hello, Elizabeth and ZZ. Not trivia, but the what's the term?
Maybe you can describe what the term.
Well, but the the Star Wars
The fandom. What?
no, yeah, but the story, the lore, the what's the word I'm looking for?
The background?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're all hitting around this word the
The world building.
yeah, but there's a
We're really trying. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, and it's just like we're bombing all around the target, but we're not hitting the target. The what of Star the blank of the
The canon.
the canon. That's it. That's
the canon.
yeah. Oh well, who cares about canon? We're just trying to tell a good story. Some of these people talk about. Well, and is canon that important? Well, to geeks and nerds, yes, but
Besides, if you wanted to really tell a story that breaks canon, just say this piece of work is inspired by this universe and maybe even set in it, but it is non-canonical. There's no connection with everything else. You can easily say that.
Right, and so
people then just accept it. People will then say, all right, then everything is all right.
But if you and yes, like something like the Star Wars universe, literally the universe that it's set in, is a huge setting. So you should be able to tell great stories that have nothing to do with Luke Skywalker, that have nothing to do with Darth Vader, have nothing to do with all these central figures. And it could be set off on some other planet, and they can have some sort of force powers, blah, 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 and tell a great story, and still have the Star Wars name on it just because it's set in the universe, and just try, try not to break canon, to break the consistency.
And it's not certainly not a boss. I mean, it's been done. Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2.
Right? Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and it can be absolutely can be done. So, yeah, I get the idea that an author, director, whatever, has a a good story they want to tell, lesbian witches in space, and they didn't do a good one here, let alone, canon breaking and bad. So, it's just a shame. I don't know. It's just frustrating to.
All right, if we're talking about things like adaptations, did you know that the Studio Ghibli Hayao Miyazaki film Howl's Moving Castle is based on a book?
Right. I've seen the movie or the animation thing. Yes, I have not read the book.
I also haven't read the book, but I did once. I think it was an article or something where it talked about the fact that it's actually an adaptation of a book, and it has very little to do with the book. It's again pretty much the name but the main even the main characters are there, but most of the plot is changed. The entire message is changed.
Yeah. And now there's probably some. Now I again haven't read the book, don't know anything about the book. I see Eric is there, so he's getting an invite.
Like the only thing of the book that I really know is like three things. The Witch of the Waste, the one who curses the main character, is very much the main villain in the book who gets defeated at the end. There is no war or warfare whatsoever in the book, besides a few people in the background, maybe in like one scene talking about there may be being a war somewhere in the future. And that the main, the sorcerer, Howl, whose castle it is that moves, is actually from our real world Wales.
VR?
4-3. Yeah, and so, okay, and there is, because I did see the movie, there are people that with talent that can do, I don't know that it's better than the book, because again, I haven't read the book, but can do something great.
Yes, that's what I meant with bringing this as an example, because the movie is genuinely fantastic.
Right.
But it's also a terrible adaptation.
Right. And so you can do this, but it is there's very few people that we have identified. I mean, there's probably thousands out there, but that we've identified that can do this kind of work. I mean, because movie making is expensive, we can't just turn it over to just anybody, and presumably make a profit.
That digital stuff is more being easier to use. I think there's going to be more and more filmmaking or filmmakers.
The bar of entry is being lowered due to digital help.
Yeah, that is.
I've seen some crazy shit someone can do with just a green screen that can make you believe a lot of shit.
Yeah. How do I put this? Hollywood, like anything else, is stuck in formulaic in the past. I have since, I don't know, realistically the 90s, but probably the 80s, have thought that TV would disappear as we know it, and would reappear as something like
Watch out, gamer. There's something fast over here.
okay.
I think he stopped. I see his exhaust.
All right.
We're taking a peek.
That
See him? He's dead.
and you killed him. Good work.
Okay. No one else at the point. You can
that
go for it. I'll cover.
you know, things would be truly non-linear, and that you would have much more creative development out there. But because once they saw streaming here, they each thought they needed to control the means of distribution, so they all had to do their own streaming channels, which has really wrecked things. It would be so easy to make money right now, because it's not that hard to find. Producers are people that, you know, put things together and organize things up. That's not that hard to find. Directors, a bit harder to find, but you can find people that have some sort of track record and put them in charge. So all you got to do is come up with stories. And of course, there's a lot of people out there that write stories. Half the waiters in Hollywood are wannabe screenwriters. Now, I don't know how many of them are good writers, but they exist.
I'll scout up ahead, gamer.
Sure. And okay, okay,
There's something over there.
KV killed something. Now
we really shouldn't be pushing. By the way.
No, we shouldn't. You're absolutely right. But we can look at good books. Like there's the Lost Fleet series. It's science fiction set in our future, quite a ways in the future, and it's sort of the Anabasis or the March of the 10,000. Xenophon's march back, but in overall concept, and it's a good series of books that would make great movies, or no, it would actually be better as episodic TV, because it's long and but you could put it down into good episodes, and structure it out well, and it would be cheap to do because there's somebody moving out around near those multicolored huts.
Yep. Driver, machine gunner.
He's dead.
Good shot.
That it's mostly it's mostly from the viewpoint from one ship, and so you just have to do the interiors, the bridge, some cruise quarters, and a few other stuff. So and it has a fairly small cast needed, both fairly small speaking cast, fairly small background. So
pretty much like the original Star Trek.
Yes, but it's even less, even cheaper, I would say, to make. And so it could be made cheaply. It's a good story, and then you just find some company or companies, because you could do a non-exclusive and let Amazon, Netflix, and whoever else.
Gamer, I'm going to be. You can hold.
Okay, Roger.
Oh. Dino, do you get shot? Where?
I have no idea. Ah, shit. He was behind me. He was near A. Near A.
Okay. Near A.
B. I mean B. Not A. B.
All right.
So.
Moving towards B.
And this would make, like I say, for your amount of investment, make a great series. And if you don't mess with it, you don't. And it isn't woke, but they're one of the main ship captain, or there's sort of an admiral and a ship captain dynamic there, and the ship captain is a woman, but it's not bestest ever kind of situation. So it's not a woke using a woman, and you could just easily turn this into a great episodic series. But
Boys, I got one guy with me here. There's a
They
T-34
just-
full of waifu pillows.
Kill
shoot
it.
his waifu, shoot the
can't.
waifu pillows. He'll cry, and you'll win.
I can't. We are stalemating right now.
Yeah, I'm coming head towards you because we got
Yes,
somebody
both
else.
God
No,
and
stay,
anime
stay,
on
stay,
his
stay.
side.
I can win this. Just I'm playing smart. He's trying to get an angle, but I'm doing a
Well,
thing.
we got this heavy tank watching. I'm heading back towards you.
Well, there's no one on C though.
No, but there's a guy pushing their spawn that's sort of kind of protecting.
Target.
There is one book that I personally think always thought should get another attempt at adaptation, but currently would
Yeah.
really not be the right time.
Gamer, be careful. He's on the other side of my building here.
Right.
If you push behind me, go that way around the
Yeah.
building.
Okay, behind
Okay.
you. All right, Roger.
Okay, I'm pushing him now. He got shot.
I'm coming.
No, he got me.
Okay, I'm
Careful, he has a
pushing.
lot of pen.
Right, that
Right.
was
He has a
overkill.
turret, so he has the upper hand. There he is.
He's dead.
Did you get him? Nice.
Yep.
Good. Good. All right. Coming back in. I need something fast. Panzer 3N, I guess. I don't know if that's a fast vehicle or not.
So yeah, until and I've read this series and and I got plain Pisma.
Yeah.
But
Move on.
and so and it just if you were to not to look at that as sort of a speculative idea of an investment in that you make it and then find a distributor for it instead of being a distributor looking for a property. I think it would be a fairly good success with the science fiction crowd, but it won't be. And this is where Hollywood want to kill it. Is it won't be the greatest success ever, where possible. Meaning it's not. It's.
Yeah, this game is over, gamer. We are being
Yeah.
sponsored.
I'm killing some of these guys here, but it's not everything needs to be the biggest success, and a lot of times we see with Hollywood, they are trying to do that. They're trying to make the biggest blockbuster, so they one movie that I hate, and I call it saving saving Pearl Harbor or whatever, because it's the movie Pearl Harbor, and they try to make saving Private Titanic, because they're trying to make a movie that a mixture of Saving Private Ryan and Titanic, and it fails, in my opinion, and it doesn't do very well at the box office. So in that sense, it's not just my opinion. And so they're trying to put in all this love interest and trying to be Pearl Harbor and blah 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 blah, instead of making a really good movie about Pearl Harbor, or instead of making a really good love story. And so they're trying to appeal to, well, hey, women will like this because of it sort of this Titanic aspect. Guys will like it because it's a war movie about Pearl Harbor. Instead of just making two good movies, they have these, this really bad setup. So, yeah. Modern agenda, identity politics, tanks in the box office, but they keep on doing it. Yep, that's quite true.
Again, that's because they're being financed.
That's part of it, because
Putting these things in by people who don't care if they don't make money. They
that's
still get
part
their
of it.
investments.
But I'll say part of it is, quite honestly, I think, is it takes like 4 years to make a movie. So some of the studios, some of the things I think have woken up, but it's going to be 4 years before before these are all out of the pipeline. So I think there's that too. And I'm not joking about the 4 years. It takes that or more. You know, from sort of getting the green light, putting the project together, and getting it out there, and getting it onto the screen. It's easily that amount of time.
Just got in the news of the German state election.
Uh-huh.
And and apparently the strongest party by far is the AfD with for I think a bit over 33% of the vote.
This may sound weird, but what does that mean? I know what the words you say mean, and I get. But what does that really mean? What is that going to do or change?
First of all, it'll probably be that the mainstream parties will panic,
right,
and likely try to go after a ban of the party even stronger than they have been previously.
Okay.
But first of all, we have to look at what previously was in the state. The state was ruled mainly by a left-wing government of a mixture of the Social Democrats, the Greens, and the main party was Die Linke, which is like a left-wing, like pseudo-socialistic party. They're the successor of the East German government party.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that party, but I do know the other two. Yeah.
Yes, they were in a coalition. And now the main ruling party has only 11%. They will not be able to take another coalition, and neither will the others be able to. The SPD only has 6.5%, and the Greens are at around 4%. So the strongest party is the AfD with around 33%, then the CDU with 24%, and then the new party, the BSW, Bündnis Sarah Wagenknecht. It's a bit of a stupid name, but it's the party of the previous chef of the Linke Partei, who she left the party because they were too modern day progressive, pretty much.
Right.
So the whole thing is pretty much a mess because no one will really be able to have an actual government here. The AfD has a majority, but not an absolute majority, and no one will ever of the other parties will pretty much ever make a coalition with them.
Right, I understand that.
All of the other ones are pretty much also too small to be able to make a coalition with really anyone. And neither would they want to make a coalition with any of the others. The CDU won't be able to make a grand coalition because the ones they might do one with are too small. A coalition between the CDU and Linke
good work, John.
Also be.
Thank you.
Dear God, I have a huge graphic bug in the game. All right, now it's gone. Pretty much, the AfD wins, but likely won't be able to actually rule.
Oh, like what's happening technically in what happened in our country?
Yeah, but I understand that the CDU will not consider a coalition government.
Yes, again, the AfD is viewed as right-wing extremists, and this is specifically the version of the AfD in that state that is considered the most extreme, with a man who is usually where the amount of times he's been compared to Hitler or Goebbels or whatever is so much that it's pretty much almost a joke at this point.
You can almost square it on a spin now.
Yes, again, they will never make a coalition with that wing of the party. So but again, they are too strong, so strong, and everyone else is too weak to really do much of anything. That I'm genuinely interested in what the hell will happen there, because the way I just saw it is that the place is pretty much incapable of anyone forming a government.
Right.
Right there, boys.
Oh, you went already all the way over
It's
there.
pretty much
Oh
the
yeah,
most.
there. In the next update, those bridges are gonna be gone.
So
Oh,
is
rip.
there
I never
is so
played this
is there
map
going
again.
to be a minority government or what?
I have absolutely no idea. The biggest idea I'd have is that they make some kind of government of kind of
Do you know, tank right
emergency
there?
anti-fascist government where all parties except the AFD form a coalition because they just hate the AFD so much. But other than that, I have no idea.
Nice.
Yeah, probably some kind of minority government, possibly
Oh,
intervention from Berlin. Who
I love it
knows?
when a 2.0 tank kills a fucking.
Are
It's
all these
3.0.
state governments
Oh wait, what?
parliamentary, or do you have like
Oh, you're not in the Puma.
the idea of an elected governor or
No.
elected offices?
This is a low BR
They're all
vehicle.
pretty much parliamentarian.
Okay.
From what I know, I'm
Yeah.
not the biggest expert in
Right.
terms of
Yeah.
the difference of states, and if they had some, I think some of them have a more. I'm not sure really.
Basically, Jan, it's a Puma with a really nice 75 mil gun that has heat, and it's a BR 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do
Honestly,
know.
I'm so. I don't know if it's because I'm the only one using this vehicle in the game, but it is OP as heck. Like this BR.
The only Eric, I would use that vehicle so much more if it had scouting, because it's a scouting vehicle, and I would use it as such. But
I'm about to get fucking 1 second.
since it isn't
I'm locking
scouting,
in.
oh damn, you got my.
But
True.
this map is gonna get an update that or
Yeah, I've heard about that.
It's stupid.
Shit! Come on! Yes,
Well, I don't
whoever
know if
shot
it
that, thank
needed
you.
its last updates, but they were really
If
good.
they're removing the bridges, I'm not playing this map anymore. That's literally the whole thing about this map is taking control of the bridges. If you can't take control of the bridges and take the side,
Well,
then this map is shit.
Oh, if they could remove
I'm
the
about to
bridges
die.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I'm not saying I wouldn't play it ever again, but that would be a very, very bad thing if they removed
And this
the
map
bridges.
is one of the most. I think the maps have changed the least.
Yeah,
really-
it has changed recently. It's a lot more gullies put in it, but
I see a tank. I see
Yeah.
a tank.
well, thanks for the update on the German politics.
Yeah.
See,
Oh, he's a Norwegian.
I'm really interested in how that'll go because with this with the AfD being
I know,
the
tank right there.
strongest party in the state,
Nice.
again, I'm genuinely interested if the government will try to intervene here because they did something similar once. Now, the AfD wasn't the strongest party in the state, but a different minister president was elected by the parliament, the local parliament.
right.
And one of the parties that helped elect him was the AfD. And so that was back when Merkel was in power.
Right.
And so she pretty much made a strong thing that this vote must be
Behind you, Dino.
yeah.
Is there any people on point right
Thanks.
now, or like enemies? I'm trying to see if I can cut off more enemies towards the viewpoint. However, it's risky what I'm doing right now.
A Churchill crocodile killed me.
Let's see. I want to read Elizabeth. A lot of women in power in recent media feels disingenuous, like it's ticking a box rather than a woman who actually got into power on the admiral. Absolutely. It's this thing is in the book series that I'm talking about is set far enough in the
Oh
future,
shit! I'm dead.
and they make no, as I can remember through the whole series, no comments upon gender at all. There is zero gender commentary. It's just some characters happen to be male and some happen to be female. It's not, and they are reasonably well depicted as being male and female, not as having male and female traits, not being genderless, just with a gender title. So meaning that there's no social commentary. Oh, women can do this or women can't. They're just doing this, and it's set in the future. So it's not really dealing with modern gender politics, even though it's having women captains and women officers and women crewmen on board the ship. As just a de facto normal thing. But yeah, Eric?
I've already told Gamer about this, but Dino, you might find this cool. I picked up a pretty cool document at a Tank Fest this weekend, where I got to sit on a Leo 1 as well while I was driving. But what I got a book from the Swedish government meant for the Norwegian exile troops, like a book in Norwegian, talking about German how to identify German tanks, their weaknesses, and German tank tactics from 45.
Interesting.
Yeah. And even in there, in 1945, it says that the King Tiger is called the Königstiger. So whoever said, oh, it's not called that is retarded. So yeah.
Well, the British often called it the Royal Tiger.
Yeah.
Which is a better translation.
Yeah, and also another cool thing about that book is the Puma is in there, but they don't know the name of it. So it's just called New German Armored Car. Which is kind of cool, I find.
Since when did the Puma actually go?
The Puma was quite late war, I believe.
Is it late war?
Yeah, the Puma's late war. I think it's around 1944.
Yeah. Now there was a whole series of 8-wheeled armored cars before the Puma. The Puma is the second version of the 8-wheeled armored car. So I think it's 41 or 42. They come out with the 8-wheeled armored cars.
Or we got a KV-1.
They start the war with Germany starts the war with 4-wheel and 6-wheel armored cars. The 6-wheel armored cars are basically just a truck chassis, and they don't do well, so they're withdrawn from frontline service. I think given over to the police. I mean, they're not scrapped, but internal security roles, and then they go over to an 8-wheel vehicle. The Pumas,
yes,
some of the chassis elements are actually Czech.
Yeah, I've read about that.
Yeah, Tatra, I think, is who makes.
Tatra made like those really cool aerodynamic cars in like the 30s and 20s, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah,
boys, hey, B is up for grabs, my guys. I've cleared it.
We have a friendly right near there, so
I'm trying to lock it in right now. I've killed like 2 KVs already, so. Okay, we got John Wick #3 here. Is there more things there or what?
The one bad thing about the Puma is it's diesel. It is the only diesel German armored fighting vehicle, so it needs its own gasoline, its own fuel. And the reason they made it diesel, because it was going to do really well fighting in the desert.
In desert, yeah.
Yeah, but by the time it shows up, I mean, they're fighting in Europe. They're fighting in Northern Europe. They're no longer fighting in North Africa.
I do really like. I really do like the Puma. I like its just design.
Oh yeah, the Puma and the Puma, unlike what we're calling in this game, the Puma is specifically the 50mm gun version. It is not. Yeah. It is never used. That term was never used by any wargamer or any book that I ever read until I heard War Thunder. Like the 75 that you're using. The Puma. Puma is just the 75. It's not the version you're using. It's not the Pac 40 version. It's not the 20mm version. It is just
because it only had that weird. I'm not gonna butcher it, but the German abbreviation for
FDKFZ. Yes, SDKFZ.
Yeah.
SD-Kfz.
Sonderkraftfahrzeug.
Richtig.
That's a different vehicle,
Yeah.
but yeah.
No, that's like for all of them pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just a general term similar to Panzerkampfwagen.
Yeah.
For the tanks.
But a cool thing with that book that I got though
Hey,
as well
T2.
is I have the guy's name, his regiment, and like his soldier number. So whoever, because the guy loved scribbling in that book. And when I mean like scribble, I didn't mean like boring. The guy corrected on a lot of shit. Like in the book, it says the KV size for Klimen Vorolashov, whilst he corrected to Clement Vorolashov.
Okay. Let
Which is
me
pretty
read
cool.
some of the chat here. At this point, in neither countries, the old parties can get a majority by working together. This will be the biggest issue because they either have to work with the AFD or another new party, which is from a woman that is really close to Russian Putin, that type of ideology. Either way, it'll be uncomfortable. That's from T2. I'm shortening his name because I have trouble pronouncing it. Yeah, I think you have a point. I very much, in listening to Dino's explanation, and I already had some of these thoughts, but very much seeing Germany in the late 1920s, early 1930s, and I think it's heading down that same road. Let's see, Elizabeth, do you have any plans for videos on your channel, or are you sticking with live streams as per usual? I like learning with the rambles. Well, okay. Plans for the channel. Yes, I have a lot of plans for YouTube. Again, I about a year ago now, it's actually been that my father died. And so I am right now in Arizona in my secret mountain base. So I am very much in life transition. I'm on my process of moving to Arizona, and I used to mostly do videos and then also sometimes live stream. So I'm just live streaming now, which is not my usual, just live streaming. Yeah, well, no problem, T2. It's been a while, and I'm just saying. And so I still have an apartment in California. I'm planning within maybe about a week heading back to California for a couple of weeks. And so I'm in the process of moving, changing, and I have another YouTube channel that's called Crisis Report that was actually doing fairly well for such a small startup channel, covering mostly the Ukraine war, though it was designed to cover crises anywhere in the world. But as soon as my father died, I immediately stopped working on that channel, just knowing that I don't want to put effort in and then not put effort in and put effort, be inconsistent. So I have videos that I could upload to the gamer channel. Right now, I just been lazy and not doing so. So give it a bit of time. Get my life settled. I am going to lean back into YouTube heavily. I am also planning on making actual videos, not just gaming videos, coming up here. So there's a lot of stuff I have planned, including a lot of. I know there's a lot of gun tubers out there, and I know YouTube hates guns, blah blah blah. And so I don't know if it's going to be on this channel, or whether I'm going to create a new channel and or go on places like Rumble. And another place that I'm hearing that for gun videos, that's maybe the future of gun videos, is Gun Broker, which is an online gun website.
Are they doing videos now?
They have videos already, Eric, and I've heard one of the old school gun writers who also, writers for gun magazines, but who also does videos mostly, cowboy type gun videos, covering those. He's been contacted by Gun Broker to maybe move his stuff primarily over to there. So, and that could be a way. Yeah, they could be seeing that as a way to promote their their brand up. And what would be one of the things that would be different than, Gun Jesus, Ian from Forgotten Weapons, or CN Arsenal, is that I want to look at the social context, the political context that the guns were created in, not just the like CN Arsenal. One of the really good things is they talk about not just the technical aspects, but also sort of the development aspect of the gun. Like, oh, this, the requirements of this army was for this type of gun, magazine fed, blah, 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 blah. And they talk about where they can find out about it, the drama of adopting the weapon. Well, I'm talking about more of the social, political, like, oh, this nation, France, developed this gun after the Franco-Prussian War, and they're fearing another German invasion, and there's this, social, sort of the social context, or if it's like a personal defense weapon, well, hey, there was lots of crime and this and that. And so trying to put it in a social, political, historical context. So, it's not to, and I do also want to I've been getting a bunch of guns here, and I also already have a lot of guns too. As soon as Eric is ready here, we can go again.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll keep talking. Yeah.
Yeah. I got an esport trophy. Wow.
Oh, cool. I also do want to do things like, so I have some Derringers and others. Shooting bullets out of a very short-barreled gun. How much how important is like a 30, and I know some of you Europeans, and I'll get to some of the chat here in a moment. Europeans may not understand some of these differences, but shooting a 38 special out of a short barrel gun versus shooting, and I'm talking like less than an inch of barrel or something, like out of a double barrel Derringer, versus a 32 ACP. Now, out of a 4 or 6 inch barrel where you have the gas pressures expand and the velocity going out, the 38 special is much more effective. But out of such a short barrel, is it going to make any real difference in a practical sense? And do some testing like that, just sort of, semi-scientific in that we'll take measurements, but maybe just shooting into pieces of plywood, or not plywood, 2x4s or whatever, and and also with chronographs, and which does the speed of the bullet, and so do some interesting testing in the field around here as well. So not just one formula of gun videos, but do different stuff. And as I did catch, like delving into the history of the Bren gun, which I have. And so, yes, using the guns as actual practical props, shooting them and getting people like Eric, and maybe if Dino or Jan want to come out one day and visit me, we can make some videos. And so I have a lot of YouTube plans. And like I say, some of this stuff may be bad for the Gamer 1745 channel, but then what I would do is make a sort of an announcement video of such and such video being on my other, whatever, Gamers Guns, or whatever the gun channel would end up being called. So that's sort of the general idea. And time scale, well, I'm hoping to be fully moved out of California either the end of this year to the or sometime in the early months of next year. So look for a lot of that stuff to really only being starting at middle of next year in a practical sense, when I can have some level of consistency and with what I'm doing. Not that everything would be a weekly video or anything that consistent, but just that's a more developed video than just me playing a game and talking about it. I am also wanting to I am developing a new philosophy, new philosophical understanding of humanity, and it's literally that deep. And I know I've talked a bit about it here, and I think Dino we've talked about it a bit, and it's really come with my really understanding what World War I damaged Western society. And again, I guess the shorthand thing is cogs and formulas. People have been being treated like interchangeable cogs. If you just train anybody and to do X thing, they'll be good enough at it. Acknowledging, some people will be better, but everybody is a replaceable cog. And two, we've been fighting over formulas. Could be capitalism versus communism. Could be dictatorship versus democracy, and all of those kind of things, as opposed to
from their spawn.
Okay, as opposed to what is effective governance, not and can be a different effective governance in different cultural grouping. What's effective in the Arab world versus what's effective in Western society. But the belief that, we just put in communism, or we just put in capitalism, and we just put in democracy, or we just whatever, and everything will be fine, because once we get the right formula for humanity, everything will be fine. Where it's not really, in my opinion, formulas matter, because communism sucks, capitalism works better. But like we were talking earlier,
though, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten any good shots at anybody.
Get cover though. Don't risk, because right now we're in a really good position.
Yeah, I'm moving down into here. Yeah, I'm moving down into here. See if I can get a shot off of somebody.
Come on.
It also maybe a support in your argument, but that culture prioritize different cogs more than other cogs.
Yeah, but it's I could name one for sure, and maybe two or three other indispensable men, and yes, they were men, that without them, the United States would not have been able to get its independence from Britain. And one of them is George Washington. Without George Washington, we would not have an America. If Colonel Ferguson had shot him in the back when he had Washington. I died. I'm coming back.
Was someone at your body? I mean, were they pushing you? Is what I'm.
No. I just got hit by a KV-2.
Am I in danger?
I don't know.
I'm in danger.
Yes.
No, I just shot someone across the map with this low velocity heat round, which I've never done before.
And so, and when I say philosophy, I'm sort of using it as the 18th, 19th century term for philosophy, which some people might call science, but it's not just a science. But it's a philosophy. It's an idea, and it's going counter to what, and it also, and again, it's just in its early days. I am completely an anti-Marxist. And I don't mean, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, you're anti-communist." Well, I've known conservative professors, and I do mean conservative, classical conservative. Well, I mean classical European conservative, not market liberal, but classical conservative type professors.
American.
Sort of conservative, classical conservative British type professors. Okay. That were infected by Marxism because they believed in that economics is the main factor that drives humanity. It's one of Marx's tenets, that you always look for the economic factors and then you find the real what. No, I think things like religion, tribalness, whatever, that's often the main thing driving humanity. So and also Marx's views on history and whatnot, not just things that lead to communism.
The dichotomy of oppressor and oppressed.
Exactly. All of that, I think everything that Marx's philosophy, not maybe some of his, because he was a historian, not necessarily, some date fact, but everything, I think Marx is 100% wrong on every single level. Yes, economy does matter, because maybe you have a great strategy for the war, but if you can't produce enough guns or whatever, you're going to lose. Economics matters. Economics is part of the picture, but economics, I think, is at best in the top 10, maybe even the top 5, but it is not the top 2 or 3 drivers for large scale human decision making. You know, as to what, you know, some of it is just literally tribal. Some of it is, my group, my tribe, whether it, if we're looking at a race, or it could be people within the same race, different tribes of English people, football tribes or whatever however you want to say these kinds of things, and some of it is religious, a belief of how and why the world happens or whatever, and some of that can sort of overlap being tribal, the religious beliefs, but so it's not necessarily clear. And again, that's why economic blurs into everything too. So I'm developing this. I'm trying to identify, like I say, cogs, and that people are, and then the ultimate expression of these cog ideology is women can be men and men can be women, and they can't. And I remember one of these, and I'll get to some of the chat in a minute, or 10. One of these, and I only saw part of the, a complete clip, but part of one of these things where they get 10 people and they move, how much do you support this? And people sort of self-separate out.
Oh, yeah.
Completely on one side or in the middle or whatever. And they finally got to this last woman, and this was on gender ideology, talking about transit canon. I don't remember all of the points, but she was the most extreme woman, extremely against trans stuff, however you want to put this. And part of it is, well, what about, men that believe they're women, however you want to say that appropriately within their language, can they be put into jails with other women? Well, they identify as women, blah, blah, blah. She's going, no. And you might be thinking, oh, well, she's like a conservative woman or a Christian woman. Well, I don't know if she was. And they ask, well, why not? Well, men and women are different at every single level. Well, why do you believe this? Well, because down in every single cell of the human body is different between man and woman. Well, how do you know this? Oh, I'm a cellular biologist. He was a biologist, and she knows that every single cell has the difference between, the XY chromosomes, whatnot, that are different down at the cellular level. So even if you go through surgery, because she was saying, it talked a bit more, whether it's surgery or hormone treatment, it doesn't matter, because at every single level of your cell is different. Now, I am not a biologist to know, but I do believe men and women think different, biologically think different, and our muscle mass and everything is different about us. So you cannot just pretend to be a woman or a man, and you are. Now, people can dress up and behave however they want to. Different societies are going to handle that differently. But you can dress up as a woman and behave as a woman, but that doesn't mean when you're going to the
enemies on A, except for the cheetah.
When you're going to into a restroom or a men's only or women's only environment, or like to a jail cell,
enemy on A has been destroyed.
So that, yeah, we can pretend, so long as we know it's pretending. Mrs. Doubtfire, when Robin Williams dresses as a woman, in that movie, he doesn't think he's a woman, he's just pretending to be a woman. So long as we understand that it's a pretense, okay, because that's reality. It's somebody pretending to be something that they're not biology. Yes?
My counter argument towards, hey, a man can become a woman, then, and also you can change your sexual behavior, is that then the Christians were technically right.
Shit.
And
Dino, can you bomb some? There's a pretty big SU over there, by the way.
I have no more bombs. I used my one bomb to clear
You must
out
get
A.
more bombs, son. I require assistance.
But
alright, I've been shot down, but I can come with a different tank.
My reasoning is that the Christians were right. Is that it's that men can become
Yan.
can
On ping. You're about to get
can
shot by KV.
not can change their sexuality if they see women enough.
When you say change,
You don't mean like Christians in the sense of something that religion actually teaches, but rather you mean like the fundamentalist, like American, like evangelists who are like pray the gay away. You mean those?
No, technically yes. Like the ones that
okay.
like
So you're talking about sexual preference, who you want to have sex with, or are you talking about biological sex?
He's talking about sexual preference.
So,
yeah,
okay,
it's a
okay,
sexual,
okay,
but
so, okay.
the sexual preference does have a impact on the other, I would say.
No, I wouldn't. Because
I disagree.
Because we can look at historically that something like Sparta, for Spartan males at least, there was a 100% homosexual activity amongst Spartan males. Okay. And I don't think that's genetic. I think that's cultural. I mean, this is a historical fact. It was thought to be something strange and weird once you were, I don't know, what was it, age 35 or something, that you could move out of the barracks and you wanted to go live with your wife. Because dudes just want to live in the barracks with the other dudes. Yeah, they have wives that produce children, but don't you just want to hang out with the dudes in the barracks? Because that's the thing to do. It's sort of the odd dudes that go once they get old enough to go live with their wives. They were thought of not as maybe as weird as a 19th century person would think of as homosexuality, but as sort of the non-normal for Spartans, because hey, dudes are more cool than those chicks over there. So you are taking desert people's belief systems that live in harsh environments, which that's where Jews come out of, and then projecting them onto Europeans who have a hugely different cultural aspect. This is one thing that Fritz is around once in a while. I don't think he is really a neo-pagan in reality, but culturally speaking, the sort of paganism speaks to his cultural heart, if you will. I don't think he believes Thor and Freya and all of those guys exist, but the cultural ideas, and he sees Christianity because of I'm sorry guys, I do want to catch up with this chat here in a moment because they just so I'm not playing for a moment. So we'll hold on to it because they deserve respect to since they've typed. So culturally speaking, yes, Christianity teaches peace, and if you look at I forget, and I'm going to butcher some of this. The sort of 19th century British statement, around Christmas, wishing everyone peace. No, I think it comes out something like peace for men of goodwill or whatever. And they use that term to mean both genders. So it's not like, and again, I'm butchering this just because I'm pulling off the top of my head here, and I don't memorize things well. It's not like they're wishing peace around the world. No, they want to go kill the barbarians out there. But men of goodwill, Europeans that aren't, barbarous, they wish peace on that world for those people. But it's still the idea of let's go, take out the barbarians and civilize them, make them non-barbarians. So, yeah, Christianity and peace is a good idea, but it should not be taken to the extreme of weakness, if you will. And so, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Jan, but I think you're projecting a little bit of, well, maybe a lot of your belief systems on what is sort of reality, which just doesn't always match up. Okay, T2.
I know.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I want you to keep doing it. I'm not trying to convince you not. I like various viewpoints here. I'm not trying to, everyone has to agree with me. That would be boring. Okay, let's catch up here. Sorry for the loss. Yes, thank you guys. Delving into the history of the Bren gun. Yes. Yes, and that's the kind of thing, like the Bren gun, and you're talking about the history, why there's technical reasons that for the Bren gun coming to being the Bren gun is because the Lewis gun, an American designed weapon, is insufficient for the British, who had used it in World War One. But they're needing to get a new, better gun, and they're looking around. But it's obviously unacceptable in the 1930s to pick something like the MG34 from Germany. You're not gonna get a gun from there or a gun from the Soviet Union or some other place like that. And so where Czechoslovakia is an acceptable country to get a design from, and of course the design is very good. So you can look at the diplomatic, the cultural relevance of the gun, and yes, and then since I do have a Bren gun, it does make for a good video because you don't just want to, make a book out of it. You want to show some action in it. Let's see, T2. I hate that the YouTube algorithm works so that people start to create a couple of different channels for each topic if they're interested in it. Yeah, and it's partially my channel has a history of being attacked by YouTube and stuff. I can go into some other time, and maybe you've heard me, T2. So I'm, even though some of the worst elements were removed, some I guess overturned some hate speech stuff and other things in the past, I do think my channel is shadow banned to some degree. And so, and then of course, gun stuff is also shadow banned, but for different reasons. So if I make them in the same channel, I think it would be worse. So yeah, it's always fun to scroll a channel and randomly learn. Yeah. And so, yeah, I would love to put this all in one channel. But I think it would be best to have multiple channels, at least right now. I think so. Townsend, 18th century life. Yeah. Townsend.
I love him. Yeah.
Oh yes. No, guys, not that I've known him, but I've bought stuff back in the 90s and whatnot from Townsend and back then, because when my reenactment days, now I know he has a channel and I do subscribe there. I don't watch much of his stuff. Video on family.
I love his 18th century cooking series. It's pretty good.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
I just wanted to say that I think I'll call it quits for today.
Okay, Dino.
Okay.
Thank you, Dino. And so, yeah, no, Townsend is a really good archaeologist, because it's not that so much he's digging necessarily anything out of the ground. He finds old examples of, particularly in colonial America, but old examples of clothing, of utensils, of household goods that have survived, and then makes copies of them and documents all that stuff. So that is an archaeological and as well as historical endeavor. So Townsend, yeah, I know that very well, and long before you guys ever knew it, before you ever had a YouTube channel. But yes, because I have little old copies of his catalog. We're so far away from how we meant it to be. It is no wonder everyone is depressed or wacky. Yes, and I think that's going back to my idea of cogs and formulas. Just hanging out with dudes in the barracks. Yeah, you're not the only one to have that issue. Yeah, no, I understand. The sensible thing to do. I just wish it. Yes, I understand, T2. And so yeah, so that's sort of my plan. So I've made some of that mushroom ketchup he has in the video. Cool. Okay, let's play another match here.
Yippee.
So yeah, so that's some of the stuff I want to do once I get settled. Ah, this map. Cool. I'm going to the south, but go where you
I'll
guys
join you,
were.
I guess. I'll join. I'll play a little bit of a further back. I'll play the half track with the pack 40, the half
Cool.
pack.
Well, I'm going to the road
Mhm.
cut just beyond C.
The road. Okay, so the road beyond C. So that
You
kind
see
of
it because
middle
that's
road.
it's called a road
Oh.
cut because it's a depression, and the road is cut through the ground, and that way
All right.
you're well protected there.
Yep.
I wish I had a better.
Yeah.
Could have used that.
By the way, gamer,
Yeah.
I had my car fixed on Friday. I had some
Uh-huh.
stuff welded on it. It was like a rear suspension thing. But while that was being done, my grandfather, because he was good friends with the guy who owned the farm,
Right.
showed me a room that was from his great grandfather, which was a resistance member during the war, and like a pretty big one as well. And I have never seen so much shit that he didn't know was so valuable, just laying around there loosely, not being taken care of. I saw a double decal Luft German helmet,
Right.
and I saw even a Kriegsmarine German helmet there, like the light gray one that's been
Right.
overpainted.
Right.
It was just sitting there, like.
Yeah.
And I told him I told him what believe them to be valued. I told him I'm not an expert on German helmets, but
Right.
they are valuable. So be
Right.
careful. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm not giving any of this stuff away or anything because it's basically written. Apparently, this is a whole 18th or 17th century building that his father
Right.
just filled up with stuff,
Right.
just stuff, and. And apparently there was a contract written when he died where all the siblings needs to sign if anything of that place needs to be get removed from that place,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. So it's
Yeah,
stays
that's
protected. So
yeah. It's sort of the other people may not realize its value or whatever.
yeah, I told him just like be careful, be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's so much stuff in
Yeah.
Europe
I like
that
I saw
it just
even, like,
has not seen the light of day.
Yeah, I was allowed to take pictures, so I have pictures of them now. And he asked like if he could. He wanted to see if I could get them appraised. Just like a rough estimate value would be nice. He said.
$1 million.
But I've seen them go for a lot. Especially the Kriegsmarine German helmets that are like.
Well,
basically
I don't know
just
if painted over, but
No, they were German regular army helmets that the Luftwaffe or the Kriegsmarine painted light gray.
the Kriegsmarine painted. I thought you meant painted over after the war or something.
No. That ruins value.
Yeah. Oh, well, see,
Damn
I
it.
didn't.
I thought
yeah.
you knew me.
No, but you said painted over, so
Yeah, but
I took that to mean somebody painted over the Kriegsmarine helmet.
Post-war. No. It's like an original German Kriegsmarine helmet, which the Kriegsmarine painted over a regular.
Right. I'm
German.
understanding now. Yeah, but I didn't then.
Oh wow,
Somebody
nice. I just saw movement in the bushes and I got a kill.
Yeah.
I saw even a 1906 receiver as well for a Mauser.
Mhm.
Which was really nice.
Just
And a
a
lot of crap.
receiver?
Yeah, just a receiver and a lot of crag parts. Like a 1912 barrel, a lot of cool stuff. So, my grandfather has never seen me so.
I don't think there's anybody on C
Yeah.
if somebody wants to push it.
Yeah, I'm pushing.
Yeah, please push it. Yeah, I don't. I'm a bit.
I got it. Yeah.
Got a fast mover.
Okay. Well,
Good
I
hit.
hit, but missed.
I'm
Somehow.
gonna get a shot on him, maybe.
Where is he?
Oh, I can't see him.
Aircraft is up.
He's smoked up.
He's
Oh,
in-
there he is. He's come out of the smoke. He's shot me.
Hit.
You guys hit him.
Keep him busy.
I died.
I'll pound him. Oh, you died?
Yeah,
Oh,
KV
he's
also
dead. I
pushed
got
my
him.
position. There's a KV
Oh, he's
coming onto
running
my
to the-
position. KV coming
Okay.
on my position.
I'm looking. I see the exhaust. Enemy spotted. I don't want to shoot without seeing where he is. I'm pinging for you, Jan. He's
Yeah,
there.
I saw movement there.
Yeah, it's a Sherman.
No, there's also
Oh,
KV
yeah.
there.
Yeah, there's
Also
also a
KV.
Sherman there as well.
Okay.
Okay. I see the KV. I'm shooting. On the way.
I'm dead.
I missed. I'm backing out. Yep.
Uh,
All right, boys. Oh no, I just bumped. Oh, don't bump over the tree. Okay, boys, we are stuck in it right now.
Yeah, I'm coming.
I'm
Stay
gonna
alive,
go
Eric.
A.
Stay alive.
I'm gonna go away.
How did that not bounce? Oh god. Okay, I might be dead, boys. I'm
Stay
dead.
alive. Your orders were to stay alive. You should be able to go backwards as fast as you go forwards in that thing.
I got the IL-2.
Okay, boys. There is a KV somewhere, which I am.
Well, I can kill it if I can
relatively-
see it. If I can find it,
Yeah,
I can kill it.
I see him.
Oh,
I might get a good
P8.
shot.
I see where you marked.
I bounced. God damn it. Putting armor penetrative.
Use your heat rounds. Oh no, you're not in. You're in the wrong. I thought you
I'm
were
about
in the armor.
on the
I
way.
thought you were in the armored car
I hit.
still.
It's a round turreted KV. I can't do much against that gamer. All my shells are bouncing right now. I'm gonna try and hide.
Well, kill
and
his
focus on the
barrack.
other
Yeah, well,
team.
yeah, hide. I mean, I'm coming to kill it. Just stay alive. That was your orders, not to kill it, not to fight it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's being pounded by AA.
Yeah, I think that's.
I think I see him. I might be get a shot off.
And I just died.
I got a critical hit on him. Gunner commander out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Pac 40's a pretty good weapon there.
On the way.
Okay, well, I wanna
bounce.
come in the same thing again.
I'm running the high penetrative ammo. It's a Sherman. Switching.
And so
I think you
again,
know where I am.
what's Elizabeth saying? Random exploding and dying was my War Thunder experience when I tried. But yeah, I started with arcade, and it's definitely spotting your enemy in realistic is one of the big keys, because if you don't spot your
and spotting is really.
Once you develop game sense in this game, it gets much easier.
and I have to say, arcade can be fun, but if you can get to where you're okay with realistic, it is a much better game. I know some of you do sort of have that random exploding experience enough, but you just sort of got to learn the maps. You got to learn to look around a bit, and then you can do okay, and it feels a lot better when you kill people this way. And so again, like and I'm still sort of, my mind is going around some of my cogs and formulas, and I do like that Jan and others challenge my ideas. I don't want, or like Elizabeth and T2 or whoever in chat, I want you to give countervailing or counter arguments or whatever, so that either I can learn to defend them, defend my ideas against them, or they may change my ideas, because my ideas are not meant to be some formula that's perfect, because I'm arguing against the idea of formulas as being the solution. And so if I need to change my idea, then I'll change my ideas.
Hey gamer, be careful. I saw a Sherman over by that building.
Okay.
Left side.
That's right.
I've been keeping an eye out on the tree line.
Okay, you watch the tree line. I'll push the
Yep.
spawn point.
Yep, I'm watching their spawn then, so hopefully you don't get shot from the side.
Yeah. Okay, I just saw fire from the village here.
Yeah.
Where?
Just
Oh! He backed
spotted.
up. Damn it! No, he just got hit by somebody. Oh, he's moving out. I got a perfect side shot, and he's dead.
Good shot. Good shot.
I don't know if that's
Holding
that
still.
was the one who killed me before. So I think the village is clear. I think I'm gonna move up. We don't have really much time, but I'm moving up.
Just push to it.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Oh
get
no,
that
there's
spot.
somebody else here. Somebody else on the
Alright.
point.
I'm gonna move to it so I can watch over the
there's a AA truck here who is
Are you
going to
okay?
try to kill me. That I got critical hit
Where
on
is he?
and took a.
Is
He's
he
right in front of me
you,
here.
or-
He's
I
right
can't
next
shoot
to me.
from there.
Yeah, he's right next to me here.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm killing him.
Alrighty.
He's dead. And we're
Shot, good
decapping.
shot. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna try and watch. They're probably gonna push from B,
Yeah.
which is really hard for me to reposition. To get
No. You
shots.
watch from their spawn. I'll watch from B.
Yep. I don't want to push their spawn because this is actually a really good spot because
Yeah, no. You're
they have
good.
to move out into the open to push
You're
us.
good. You're good. And this is partially why I really love playing with Eric, because once he actually gets into the groove of playing, it really becomes good teamwork. Some people are very fanatical. I'm reading Elizabeth's thing, and refuse any opposing argument whatsoever. Big sign of ignorance. Humility is something that is missed in the age of narcissism, thanks to social media. Yeah, and it's.
Well, yeah, it's basically a product, I would say.
Yeah,
because how algorithms work and how the people that wants to get money of you out of
okay.
you.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong in your idea here, Jan, but a lot of it is with the internet, you don't get punched in the face for saying some stupid shit to somebody.
That helps.
That would happen, or whatever it might be. It might not actually literally be punched in the face, but the consequences of being that arrogant in person compared to being arrogant on the internet, whether in a YouTube video or just in a chat comment, you normally don't have real world consequences. So that I would say as well. So no, you're not wrong. Not wrong at all. And now I will say I'm arrogant enough that I think I coming up with
1 second, guys.
a philosophy enough that is important enough, that is better than or different enough than anybody else has, and that takes a certain level of arrogance.
Well,
so I have that. I am arrogant.
I wouldn't say that you are the curator of it, because I think there has been a final there are already what, how do I say it? The idea of workers and being compared to cogs and all that other stuff has been in one film, I think. It's the silent film of Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, and I'm definitely using from Modern Times the cog idea. Modern Times from Charlie Chaplin. Yeah, no, and it's not that is, or anything that I'm saying is unique to me, but I'm putting it together into a
philosophy,
a coherent idea. And not just one simple sentence or paragraph, but as a work. A body of work. Whether you, like in the olden days, it would be a book. Whether I actually write it in a book. But one of the things, if you look at the original Dune book, and then the prequels of that were written by his son, and I'm blanking on the names right now, compared to when you see the like the second book in the Dune series, he's become sort of the a religious idea, and he sort of does come to the religious idea. But if you look at the politics of the Dune universe, and I've read the original book and I've watched the movies way back when, and I'm not, like I say, I'm not good at quoting things, so I'm sure I get things wrong and whatnot. But it's the politics not of this ideology versus that ideology, of this formula versus that formula. It's loyalty to a person or loyalty to a house, which is not a little house, but it's a loyalty to a bloodline that is going to make mistakes, is going to make bad decisions, but you are putting your bet that this is the best leader for you, because the other ones are not. And it's not just purely tribal. I mean, there is tribal elements to it, but it's sort of like, I guess we can see this in Trump. Trump, ideologically, I know, is an old school New York Democrat. Now, as Dino was saying earlier, no one 100% adheres to any one ideological, grouping, but he is an old school Democrat. Now, of course, modern Democrats are way different. Now, I am ideologically more of a Ted Cruz kind of conservative. But I believe Trump will go into the federal government and radically change things. Where I don't believe if Ted Cruz were to become president, he would change much. He would be his classical American conservative sort of values. And now I think Trump is, a bull in a china shop. And I don't think he's going to get everything right. He doesn't, and because two groups in American politics supported him when none of the others did, and one of those was the pro-life movement, the other one was the gun movement. And even though he made mistakes on the gun and probably the pro-life movement, he he's gonna support the things that I want most. So I'm putting it's not like an undying loyalty to Trump or he's never going to do anything wrong or anything like that. But it is sort of and it's not for at least, and I think for most of them, anything that's going to survive generations, of the Trump family. So it's not like Trumpism will be around for a long time, or Trumpism is a coherent political philosophy, but that it's Trump is the indispensable man within the movement. And this is why, if he were assassinated, it's not just, oh, well, somebody's going to take his place that has a similar belief system. No, it's Trump is Trump, and he's going to have 4 years in politics to hopefully steer the ship in a different way, or hopefully get rid of all the extra, fat on the ship, or however you want to say the mixed metaphors. And so it's the idea, and so it's not unquestioning loyalty to a leader, not unquestioningly loyal to a tribe or whatever, and maybe critical loyalty, meaning you're loyal but you're critical when it goes wrong or when you think it's going wrong, so that the system learns. But it's the idea that there is no system or formula that once we get it right, we can impart it into stone and it will automatically go. And like a good example, another is what's going on in Brazil that and the only reason we really know about it is because of Elon Musk shouting about it on his Twitter/X, is that you have Brazilian law that he can quote, but then you have a judge apparently ignoring that law and making decisions. So you have two personalities. Which are you going to? And there's other personalities in the mix because you have Bolsonaro and Lula and whatnot. So it's not so much a loyalty to free speech or a loyalty to like the Constitution of Brazil, because those things don't matter if the if statement is here, if people don't respect it. Okay, so if somebody demands free speech for what they have to say, but then in one way or another stifles other free speech, and for the moment we're talking about political speech and not criminal speech or liable, saying what you will about somebody else even though it's not true, but we're talking about political ideologies and whatnot for the moment, and not calling for violence or something. But so if you're for free speech, but you're not for everybody's free speech, which is often the case, well, this free speech principle doesn't matter, and you shouldn't defend it if the opposing people only want to defend their speech. So it's a with sort of my ideas as coalescing. It's a practicalness that yes, a constitution is damned useful, but if it's corrupt in some way or another, it's useless, because and I don't know it, but people have said that the Soviet Constitution of the Soviet Union was a really great document, but the Soviet Union was obviously mostly at times, I mean, sometimes it was a junta, a group of people, a Politburo, but mostly it was a dictator of Stalin or Khrushchev or whoever, and though
Nice
that they're
pictures.
what was that?
Eric posted
Okay.
his whole.
Right, cool. Yes, everyone, you should take a look at our Discord forum, and if you're on, I think, both YouTube and Twitch right now, there's links to our Discord forum, and there's all
Are you
kinds
streaming
of...
on Rumble?
No, I'm not streaming on Rumble today.
Okay.
There's, hello, Polat01, was speech free until a certain limit. Well, you see, yeah, and we can define free speech, and like Elon Musk defines free speech for Twitter/X, is what is legal within a particular country. So if it's in the United States, I could say I wish the government would collapse. I wish somebody would overthrow the government. But if I start organizing up people to overthrow the government, that would be criminal. So, so you could say that you would like something to happen, but once you start organizing a criminal conspiracy, like to rob a bank, you go, I wish that bank would fail. Or I wish I had all that money in that bank. I wish that money was mine. But once I say, hey, you take the back, I'll go to the front, and we go rob it, that then becomes a criminal action. So in America. And so Elon Musk is promoting, when you actually listen to what he says and not just get a soundbite that may distort it, he is talking about free speech within the country. So Germany has laws about, we'll call them anti-Nazi laws. So Twitter, his thing, would block things that come afoul, that at least in his estimation or his moderator's estimation or whatever. Now, sometimes they overblock stuff. I'm not going to argue that implementation is perfect. But the idea is that, well, if this is a German saying something in Germany that is illegal under German law, well, that needs to be blocked. But I can say the same thing in America because we don't have those anti-Nazi laws here in America. And it's not going to be blocked in America. It might be blocked in Germany because it's even North Korea has free speech in their constitution. Exactly. And so I am not going to fight for a communist to have free speech if that communist either is an individual or is a group that he belongs to has not themselves upheld the idea of free speech. So I'm not going to allow the enemy's access to weapons to defeat me just to their use, and then them take those weapons away from me to counter their arguments. Let's see what I think. You should be able to say whatever you want, not get killed or arrested for it. Harassment is another matter. Those who dictate what harassment is another issue. Yeah, and I can understand. You talk about harassment. Well, harassment within the terms of harassment, and this is one thing that quote unquote sexual harassment, at least in America and I guess in other countries, is wrongly approved. Because if I sexually approach a woman, meaning make a sexual suggestion, you want to go out on a date, honey, or whatever, and it could be even more crude than that. Ask that once. They go, that's sexual harassment. No, it isn't. Harassment by its definition, needs multiple, because to harass an enemy is not just to do it once, but to do it multiple times.
I gotta go, guys.
Yeah, and we're gonna be wrapping this up here in a moment, anyways. But thanks, Eric.
Well, take care. Bye.
Right. So yes, it's one thing to put a post on to somebody, you're an asshole, and then walk away. That isn't harassment in the individual. Now, maybe 10,000 people do it. That might be harassment because there's multiple people doing it. But to harass an individual means, again, multiple attacks by the definition of the word harassment. And so, the idea, so yes. And so this is coming to it's in its formative stages, and it's really, really coming down that I'm understanding World War I is more impactful to society than World War II, with all of its impact that World War II does have, and it's massive. But we wouldn't have the Soviet Union without World War I, because Tsarist Russia would not have collapsed the way it did without it collapsing because of World War I. Just social turmoil, revolutionary actions would not have collapsed the Soviet Union, or not, Tsarist Russia.
Tsarist Russia, yeah.
Now would it have driven Tsarist Russia into a more dictatorial stance, more hardline stance, and then maybe 20, 30, 40 years later have another revolution or something? I don't know. Or would it have? The Tsar was trying to moderate things, I do believe, before everything got caught up. Would they have been moderating, liberalizing within the Tsarist system more? I don't know what the trajectory would have been. Definitely and Russia is a semi-Western country. It isn't truly a Western country. Peter the Great tried to make it a Western country, but he failed, and others have failed, including Catherine the Great. She failed. But even in Russia, the idea of their idea of serfdom and whatnot is way out of date and no longer needed to be around. So the system needed reforming. And so sometimes reformation is good. Okay, let's see. If you ever get around to it, a video on the ideas coming. Oh, I'm working on the idea of talking about this, making some videos. And as I know some of you guys are new around here, and if you're new, remember to subscribe or follow to the channel. That I do best not reading a script, but because it comes off very stilted. But having an outline keep me on track and put down certain facts, that I do actually do rather well. So I am planning on it. I just don't know when. I'm getting ready to go back to California for a few weeks, and then I'm going to be coming back here. So, but yes, I want to talk about the impact of World War I. Russia really wasn't stable for a long time. They lost a lot of prestige after the Russo-Japanese War. Oh yeah, that definitely affects it. And it is truly not one thing, because I can look at the COG idea to some degree and see, and it's warfare that's driving it. But I can see it definitely in the American Civil War, but nowhere does it really come to fruition, to completeness as World War I. For years, I've thought World War I showed the failure of the institutions in the West. And and when I say institutions, it could be business, religious, like the churches, social organizations.
But why did they fail?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I don't have a quick answer to that, because we can look at spiritually, and we see there are definitely, especially Madame Blavatsky, and there's 3 people before her, but Madame Blavatsky has visions, if you will, and she creates the religion. Now, that could be said of just about any religious founder, whether it's Jesus Christ, Moses, the burning bush, that's whether there was actually a physical burning bush, or God sent the message that looked like a burning bush, or he hallucinated it, just inside himself. However you want to explain it, it's definitely some sort of vision. It's not a normal occurrence, okay? So, and whether it's the Buddha, Confucius is more of a real world philosopher, but or Muhammad, there's always some sort of visions, whether and Madame Blavatsky, playing things. I'm not saying they're true. I'm not also saying they're not true, though I don't necessarily believe that they were. But there were pre-World War I mysticism already developing, but you get the explosion of it post-World War I, post the true pandemics of the influenza, the flu, that were hitting around the world. And you see a lot of mystics develop, with a lot of people wanting to deal with, and a lot of it is dealing with trying to contact the dead, mysticism. A lot of it's fraud, but it's trying to explain why the world happens. why is there evil in the world if God is good and just? Why does God allow all this evil to happen? Well, I'm not a religious leader enough to explain. I mean, I can give reasons, but I don't know that it match. But no established church could answer that question satisfactorily, because obvious people weren't satisfied. They were looking for other answers. And, and also, to a point, credibility in all of the churches, again, and we're looking at the churches in the West at the moment, are failing because, and I'm just want to explain here, and just because I'm going to challenge a little bit. Jan is a fundamentalist Christian of a sort, and it's not an attack, but the idea that anybody today believes that God literally created the world in 7 days, I think is foolish. I think it must be understood that it is a parable. It is a story. It is a metaphor. It has importance, but it isn't literally 7 24-hour periods that God creates this world.
It's no
Well, look, I have relatives
Hold on.
that
No,
believe that fundamentally.
I'm not going to argue against the idea of 7 days, because it is originally 6 days that he did work,
Okay. Well, and then
just 1 day of rest. But
yeah,
it's an explanation of why we do have like a rest day and a 7-week,
okay,
7 days a week.
right. And if you want to use it as a parable, as a story to learn from, that's fine. But the idea that religion argues again, and now there's no settled science except for, of course, climate science. That's settled. All the rest of science is changeable. But to argue against verifiable fact, like dinosaurs existed and a long, long time ago, and there isn't apparently, we've not yet found it, man coexisting at the same time as dinosaurs. Yeah, man was around when like saber-toothed tigers were around and mammoths, but not dinosaurs. So when religion can't adequately conform to what is observable fact, that may be wrong, but we observe it and we believe it's a fact, then we lose credibility in religion. Religion should get out of the literal explaining of how the universe was created, because they're not equipped to. Now, if you look back at, the classical world, pre-Christianity, often the religious people were the most learned people out there, the most well-read people, compared to the peasant goat herders and the peasant farmers and the dumb soldiers marching around in the field. So they were coming up with some of the best explanations. But and again, it's sort of a tenet, and I do come out of this tradition, tenet of the Reformation and correcting the problems of the Catholic Church, and you're creating fundamental Christianity. We'll go back to the original source material, the Bible, and then that must be true. Well, when the Bible is obviously not true, then they have problems getting their head around it. Let's see. I think a lot of people misinterpret parables as literal fact. Yes, when they were meant to be teachings instead of historical footnotes. Yes, and I think the idea that when they were often originally created as parables, myths, metaphors, that then people later on took to be facts, but even the original people were knowing that they weren't meant that. So yes, we often lose context. And so those are some of the reasons the churches and the institutions could not deal with World War II and remain, and some more, some less, and it varies from country to country and all this stuff. But people lost trust in the institutions. And the new people were often people like Marx and Engels, who were maybe dead by a certain point, but were promoting, as well as people like Adam Smith, who is, promoting of capitalism, as well as moral sentiments, which is a moral governing philosophy, which most people overlook, are people that are promoting the new formula, not the new leader. And so, like I say, I interpreted World War I as simply people losing trust in the institutions, or they're no longer trusting the institutions, so that's collapsing. Now I'm understanding, yeah, that happens. That's part of it, but it's the psychological damage is that you're changing. Oh, well, this institution failed. Well, let's form a new institution. No, they're not forming a new institution. They're forming a new formula. And if we just get the formula right, whatever, whether it's a religious formula or a marketing formula or a production formula or a road, infrastructure road network formula, that once we get this right, well, everything's good. Everything will be fine. We'll have hiccups along the way because people are imperfect, but it'll eventually, with the right formulas, it'll be self-correcting, and this is what, the founding fathers of America believed incorrectly. They believed that if they had the right structure, it would be power balancing between, and the courts sort of came along a little bit later. The courts, the idea that the U.S. Supreme Court can declare something unconstitutional is not in the Constitution as far as I'm aware of it. It was a power that they sort of granted themselves, and everybody goes, oh, okay. So it becomes a power balance between the three, the legislative, the executive, and the courts. Originally, it was just the legislative and the executive were to battle it out, with a federal system in which the states also had lots and lots of power that they would have to negotiate with the states. But they thought they were coming up with a formula because they knew that humanity is flawed and you're not always going to have, and this is where the idea of monarchy has its weaknesses, is that sometimes, and what would have been a great monarch for America would have been George Washington, because he felt and was set within the temperament of the Americans at the time, meaning he didn't want to be, bowed down to. Americans weren't interested in bowing down to people, but he was the right type of being governing, not necessarily ruling. There's a difference between there, but putting limitations on, behavior within America, within the government. He would have been a great monarch. He didn't have any sons or daughters, but had he had them, they might not have been very good monarchs. So, yes, we do have, whether Washington, of course, is an indispensable man, but which means, if you don't understand, and I know not everyone watching now or maybe later, that means he's not replaceable. Without him, things wouldn't have happened. He himself, not just the leader of an army or not just an elected president, but he himself, because there were a bunch of presidents before George Washington. I don't know if people realize it. George Washington is just the first American president of our current Constitution, not under the Articles of Confederation or not under the Continental Congress, which existed actually before our Declaration of Independence. But he had enough respect within the American people. So it was respect for him, not so much the respect for the office, that allowed the American presidency to become what he did. And because he served 2 terms, and that's enough. And so he, left. He didn't try to hold on to power to the very end and to, being like Biden and mentally not there. He gave up power when he commanded the Continental Army, and the Continental Army wasn't being paid. He could have even just marched the Continental Army onto the Continental Congress to force them to pay him. No, they don't, pay the soldiers. He doesn't do this. So he is indispensable. He himself, not just the commander of the army, not just a president. And so this all works into this philosophical idea that we are not cogs. I can memorize things, but don't hire me or put me into the job where that is a core component of the job. I know I'm a historian, and I should know people's names and dates very well. Yeah, that is important, but I think I'm more of a philosophical historian in which I look at the impact and the meanings of, what's meaningful about events within history, and that's where my core competency is. And so, so hire me for those types of jobs and that type of thing. And so, and what again, and I know I just said this, half an hour ago or something, the extreme element of this fog thing is that men can be women and women can be men. They can't. And when you have an ideology that does not even want to hear literal fact going against it, that is a, whether you want to call it ideological, religious type, faith-based type belief system. And anything that is, it's one thing to have faith. It's another thing to go have faith that that wall is not made of bricks and I can just walk through it. And every time you impact on the wall and it feels like bricks and you're not going through it, maybe either you shouldn't have that blind faith, and faith doesn't necessarily need to be blind faith. Or even if you do have blind faith, well, it should only last up until you thoroughly tested that that's a brick wall and you can't walk through it. It's not made of paper. It's not made of something that you can crash through, with just your body. I'm not talking with a car or whatever. So yeah, faith, again, I'm not arguing against religion or religious faith. I'm arguing that things that don't meet the test of reality should not continue to be understood as if they're reality. It should be, like I say, it should be like a myth, a parable, a learning lesson, and be understood as that. Let's see. I think the modern total war system caused most changes on institutions after World War II. It's not the total war system. I mean, that's an element of it. It's the and again,
Are we gonna play?
No, we're not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to leave, you can leave, but I'm just philosophizing right here.
I don't mind, but
okay, yeah. And again, I get some of this from Rommel's book, Infantry Attacks. I've read it several times. Rommel is not part of the German army or the Imperial German army. No, he's part of the Bavarian army. Okay, now that's part of the great structure, part of the grand structure, or whatever you want to say, of Imperial Germany. Because there's the Prussian army, there's the Bavarian army, and I think there was the Hessian or some other. I think there was one other army within it, and his regiment is sort of a locally raised, locally commanded kind of unit. And so at the beginning of that war, they're regimented, meaning they march in regimental formations. They all have the same uniform. They all carry the same weapons. They do things sort of mechanically, and that's sort of the 18th century style of warfare. So it's regimented, and I mean it in that sort of sense as well as others. And that's at the beginning. By the end of that war, it's just recruits that were being sent into units that needed replacements. And they might at some times be sending Bavarians into Bavarian regiments, but that becomes less and less important. It's just feeding into the system. The system has gotten so big, it becomes, and yet you can sort of call it total war, yeah, but it's such a big system that the system, again, the formula becomes the important thing, not the national character or the regional character. Like maybe people from certain parts are going to be more affinity to riding horses, and people living in Bavaria or some mountainous region are going to have more affinity to fighting in the mountains. So they should go into the mountain regiment. And people from the cities, well, And so not looking at the character of the people, it just hogs into, into the machine. But we see that everywhere in society, but the system break, the necessary, and we can, and another element to my belief system is, and people often rail against politicians, and bureaucrats, but air is good because it has oxygen in it, and oxygen is necessary for life. And so things that are necessary for life are good. So bureaucracy is good. I mean, however much we get frustrated with it, bureaucracy is good because it allows systems at large scale. But bureaucracy that has no, what would be the term for it? Has no,
Value?
no accountability. No accountability. Meaning
Oh
they're
yeah, but
meaning they're not accountable to the people that they are supposedly serving, or they're not accountable to, say, a legislative branch that creates them. Meaning that they're no longer, they no longer feel the impact of their decisions on their bureaucracy in general or on the individual bureaucrat. So if like somebody comes in and asks for a building permit, and the guy just looks at the code and just like, nope, 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 without understanding that what is necessary, how to find out, well, the CIA or the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles. I mean, is just, if they have no accountability for their actions, for their policies, because it's just now a machine that is necessary because America needs intelligence services. All nations need intelligence services. And if they think they've become too big to fail, that's the problem. And so without accountability, either on an individual, and I recently heard something about with the Second Amendment here that I watched, some cop, whether intentionally or just out of sloppiness, lied on forms that got a guy lost his gun possession card in one state. And the guy is suing not just the system, but also the individual police that signed off on this, the individual officers, which have qualified immunity, not absolute, but a federal judge is, nope, they can be sued. So now these cops, whether the police union or the police department is paying for the lawyers, but they may, and then somebody else may end up actually paying if they lose, paying the fine. But now they are individually liable for this supposed lie on these forms. Now, whether, again, it could be a mistake, could be deliberate, but this is the allegations that are, and the judge has found, a federal judge has found reason enough to believe that this is the case. So not concluded, but it apparently is so, that they lied on these forms and this guy lost it. So now these cops, I don't know, could lose their home, could lose money. They are now being held accountable for writing up a report after an incident. So have a bureaucracy, whether, again, it could be the CIA, the DMV, the police, that they have accountability for their individual actions as well as the department size actions. That needs to be there. And if you have accountability, then bureaucracy, because, again, formulas matter, but they should not be the end all be all of the system. So having that balanced with, like I say, accountability here and whatnot, so that, and again, accountability to an individual, because some people are calling for, and I hope they are, I hope there are political leaders, government officials, some of them, there's a distinction because some of them have never been, run for office or whatever, but I hope they are criminally charged when there's evidence for it, and then prosecuted for court, that are currently in our government or have recently been in our government. I hope they're criminally charged. Now, they may be found innocent. Okay. But they should be criminally charged, because I think that they have done things that they need to be held accountable for. and that will then make all the rest of the bureaucrats think, oh, I could be sued, I could be jailed, I got a better
Get it right.
well,
Or,
I gotta be more, you know, you know, I don't know if understand. I got to understand the situation better instead of like again, YouTuber, Linus Tech Tips. Linus, he's trying to create this land center, and he is having problems with the local city because they keep saying no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. Well, what if? No, no. Instead, and they won't say necessarily why the no, as in so you can't. Well, there's not enough parking. Well, what if we solve it by this method? Well, instead of trying to find a solution, they're just trying to read the regulations and deny. Instead of like, oh, well, how do we make the city better by having this enterprise going on? Well, we can, solve parking, solve occupancy level capacity, solve whatever. Instead of trying to solve the problem, the bureaucrats are just reading the handbook and
not making the same mistakes.
well, they're not even necessarily making mistakes or not. They're just following the rules blindly instead of trying to find a solution and maybe asking for the rules to be modified, going through whatever the modification process is. And we're just talking about city government here. We're not talking about a state or national government or provincial government or whatever. We're just talking about a local city government that has these regulations that there's got to be a way, a method, whether you got to go to the city council or you got to go to the planning commission or you got to go to the mayor or there's got to be a way to modify the rules because that's how the rules were created in the first place. So instead of trying to find a solution, they're just reading the rules and saying no. Well, if, say, the bureaucrats in there had to win elections, they might have to realize, oh, well, maybe we should find a way because this guy has a megaphone big enough to make us lose the election. Now, of course, if you make everything purely a popularity contest, then you get other problems. So again, it's not finding my philosophy that I'm developing is not finding the right formula. It's trying to find an understanding of human nature. And part of it is we are tribal because we create tribes. And I think a really good example of this is sports teams. And sometimes the sports teams are geographical, but sometimes the sports teams are, what college. Well, no, are like what college you went to, or just even there's two sports, like in the U.S. here, two sports teams in the same city, and they don't even necessarily have a west side or east side aspect. You just it used to be the Dodgers and the Yankees were both basically in New York City, two baseball teams, if you don't know. And so there was a big rivalry between the two because they were, the fans were all located in the same city and were you Dodgers or Yankees fans. Eventually the Dodgers went out to LA, and so that sort of changed that. But so they formed teams or formed tribes just based on sports teams. And we can look at Rome. They had chariot racing teams based on colors, like I think it was the green team and the blue team or whatever. And people all over the empire joined whatever tribe. And we often belong to differing tribes, many tribes all at the same time. A family, a community, a national, a sports team for this sport's a different team for a different sport. And so humans in their nature are tribal, and that can be skin tones. I mean, when you see somebody of a similar tribe, skin tone, seeming to be attacked simply for skin tone, and this can work. Factionalism, yeah, factionalism is an element of it, but it's also a group identity element. And so if you have a dark skin tone and you've seen a lot of people with dark skin tones being beaten up, or if they, like in America it used to be, had to use certain drinking fountains or whatever. Yeah, you sort of identify with your fellow skin tone people, and I understand that. Now, that sort of tribal, now that can come into where we can see, and it has often been, also put in with the racism element in that we are somehow racially better than some other group or something, as opposed to just tribal identity, meaning when I was going to university, we had like the Pacific American club within there, so that Hawaiians and Samoans and Filipinos would be in that club, and we had the Asian American club, which would be Japanese and Chinese or whatever. We didn't have a white club. Not that I wanted to have a white club, but we would have. There was these other sort of, and you might have been able to have I don't know, like a Scottish club or something, but so it's we create tribes naturally, and that is also an element. So again, my philosophy is trying to deal with the reality of the human condition. That if you treat us all, and again, like one manager, she said to me, "Well, I try to treat everybody the same." And what flashed through my head was, and this is in a small store, in a small situation. Oh, very different. There's some old guys working here that are different than some young guys that don't have much experience, that need more guidance. That just being, this was working in a gun store, just being, customer relation. So you should treat you shouldn't jump on the old guys have more experience. And this was, not that young of a woman, but the old guys were much older. They probably know some of this stuff better than you. Now, I'm not talking gun knowledge. I'm just talking about how to deal with people. Know it better than you. So you shouldn't be telling those guys how to treat customers, but you got some 22-year-old guy in here, and this is his first job dealing with the public. He may have, I don't know, delivered newspapers or did something else beforehand, but he may need to be treated differently. So, and it's this idea, well, I try to treat everybody the same, as opposed to trying to say, I try to treat everybody fairly, or I try to treat everybody with respect, or I try to address everybody's needs. Instead of the acknowledging that we are individuals and you need to deal with us individually, which means differently, without necessarily trying to be favoritism towards somebody that she likes versus someone she doesn't like in the store or something. And that's, I think, when she was trying to say to me, because we didn't necessarily, I wouldn't have said that we hated each other. We didn't hate each other, I don't think, but we didn't get along well. I mean, we weren't friends. We wouldn't hang out after work or anything, but we weren't like avoiding contact with each other either. It just, we weren't socially we didn't chat socially within even the small store. Business chat, sure, but there wasn't, and I wouldn't have said that there was a lot of friction between us. But so yeah, it's the idea of, do we treat everyone the same? No, we shouldn't. And that's sort of what I'm trying to get at. Well, I want to thank Polat, Elizabeth, of course, Jan here, and everybody else. Who else is maybe still around? I don't know. T2, if you're still around, thank you for hanging out with me while I develop my thoughts and have fun and play. I will be back next Saturday, I do believe, with more probably Strategic Command. Maybe talk about World War I there. And of course, more War Thunder next Sunday. So thanks, everyone. Have a very good day or evening.